Good evening and welcome to Hammersmith and Fulham Council's meeting, including our guests in the audience and those watching on YouTube. I'm Councillor Sharon Holder, Mayor of the London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham, and I will be chairing tonight's meeting. I would like to be addressed as Madam Mayor. The meeting is being live streamed to YouTube, and by participating, you are consenting to be recorded. To make the meeting accessible, there will be live captions for people to follow. I once again welcome our guests in the audience to this meeting. To ensure that the meeting runs smoothly, no heckling is allowed. Councillors, if the whip has not provided me with your name and you wish to speak, please raise your hand and wait until I call you. If you wish to raise a point under standing orders, please raise your hand and I will invite you to speak at a suitable point. When called to speak, please state the standing order you wish to use. If you wish to raise a point of order or personal explanation, you may interrupt the councillor speaking. However, please ensure your points are factual and brief. I would like to remind members that it is customary to stand when speaking if you are able to, so you can be clearly seen and heard. If you are watching at home and would like to follow along with the agenda, there is a link in the description on YouTube. Fire alarm instructions. If the fire alarm sounds, please leave the meeting calmly by the nearest exit, which is through the doors on the right and out the main entrance. Officers will direct you to the assembly point on Blacks Road. The meeting will be taken as adjourned until I can safely resume business. Toilets can be found through the door at the back of the room on my right. Moving on to item number 1, apologies for absence. Chief Exec.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Mayor, apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Rowbottom, Rosenberg, Kwan, Melton, Sanderson, Painter, Carmel, Morton and Perez. Thank you, Mayor.
Excuse me. Thank you. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Item number 3, the minutes. Are the minutes of the annual special council meetings held on the 21st of May 2025 agreed? Agreed. Item number 4, Mayor's announcements. On behalf of the council, I would like to extend our congratulations to the local people who were recognised in the 2025 King's Birthday Honours. Professor Sharma at Imperial College Healthcare Trust was awarded an OBE for services to research in strokes in South Asian people. Bob Alexander, Vice Chair at Imperial College Healthcare Trust, was awarded an OBE for services to leadership in the NHS. Professor Thomas, President Professor Emeritus of Clinical Neuroscience, was awarded an OBE for services to clinical neuroscience. I'd like to thank them for their hard work and services to the community. Well done to them. Monday marked the 20th anniversary of the terror attacks in London that killed 52 people. I invite the Leader of the Council and the Leader of the Opposition to speak.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. The 7th of July 2005 seems very recent, but it indeed was a long time ago. 4 attacks happened that day. 3 bombs were used. It was a terrorist attack, not just on London, but on our way of life and our belief in the democratic and legal process as a way of resolving our differences in our society. 3 bombers, 3 terrorists, a number of terrorists set out on a journey to kill and maim, and they were successful. 52 people lost their life that day because of those wicked terrorists. 18 different nationalities were people who were killed, people from all around the world, reflecting the nature of London as a global world city. 800 people were injured, and it was a devastating day. I remember it well because I was in a meeting at London councils, and security officers came into the meeting and ushered us to the basement to secure rooms because there was absolute misunderstanding and panic about what might be able to happen next. My sister-in-law was meant to get on one of the buses, but she missed it and therefore is still here. And on Sunday, I met with an American who had flown in to take part in the remembrance because he had that day in London been traveling on the tube. One moment, a busy, normal day. The next moment, he looked around at the carriage covered in dust, blood of other people on his body, screaming and crying and panic. And that's what those terrorists did. It is incumbent on all of us who take the decision to stand in democratic life to carry out our debate with integrity and to work on the things that the public care about. And whilst anyone can disagree in a pluralistic society where our rights are guaranteed by law, not, by the way, in the Islamic State that was operating in much of the Middle East throughout recent decades, but thankfully has now gone. But in our system, there is a way of resolving our differences. I would like to put on record my sincere sorrow to everybody who was injured in that way or lost their lives. I would like to stress that we will always stand for the rule of law and fight for our democratic liberal beliefs. And I would like to underline our sincere thanks to the security services who I am privileged to meet with and to be briefed. All of us, I think, entered this chamber as elected representatives to try and do our duty for other people. It is something that makes me proud when I look at all the people in this room to know that people can turn up to our surgeries, they can contact us, and they can tell us their problems, and we will do our best to help them, whether we do it strategically as administrations or we do it personally as elected representatives. That's the system that we have in this amazing country of ours, and that's what was threatened that day. So as we look to the future, we say once again that we resolve to stand steadfast against terrorism and all those who seek to hurt and damage others. And we reaffirm our belief in our system and send again our sincerest sorrow to everyone who was affected. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I endorse the words of the Leader of the Council? We agree with every word. Madam Mayor, we honour the lives that were forever changed on July the 7th, 2005. 20 years have passed since that Thursday morning when our city, our very spirit, was tested in the most profound way. At 8:50, as Londoners began another ordinary day, 4 coordinated attacks shattered the peace of our city's morning commute. In those devastating moments on the Circle, Piccadilly, Metropolitan lines, and later on the number 30 bus, 52 innocent souls were taken from us. Hundreds more were wounded, and countless families were left to navigate an unimaginable grief. But if those who sought to divide us expected London to cower, they fundamentally misunderstood who we were. Within hours of the attacks, our city demonstrated something remarkable, not just resilience, but defiance rooted in compassion. Strangers became guardians, opening their homes and their hearts to those stranded. Emergency services ran towards danger with unwavering courage. Communities that had never spoken came together in solidarity. We remember Gladys Wundoa, just 50, traveling to work that morning. We remember Shahar Islam, 20 years old, full of dreams. We remember each of the 52 lives lost, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, each with their own story, their irreplaceable place in this world. Their memory compels us to ask, what London have we built in their honour? Have we remained true to our values that they died defending, tolerance, liberty, and the radical belief that our differences, when brought together, can make us stronger, not weaker? 20 years later, London remains what it has always been, a city of opportunity and of hope. No matter our background, all sharing in the same underground carriages, the same streets, the same dreams for our children. The bombers sought to plant seeds of hatred. Instead, they witnessed the flowering of human decency. They wanted to isolate us from each other. Instead, they reminded us that we are bound together by something stronger than fear, our shared humanity. In the 20 years since those bombings, our way of life continues to be under threat, both at home and abroad. At home, we are reminded that the threat of fundamentalism remains existential. Abroad, bad actors who threaten our way of life are on the march, and the values we cherish so deeply are under threat. In Ukraine, the battle for democracy is now in its third year. Any outcome that leads to a Russian victory would serve only to embolden the forces of darkness. But it is in places such as these that the flames of democracy are kept bright, through acts of service, through belief in people, through our collective desire, no matter the party affiliation, to put our residents first. That is how we keep the flame of democracy alive and well. That is how we overcome the darkness. Because in the end, the human spirit demands freedom. Oppression is the mask of fear, and those who aim to strike terror into our hearts are cowards and should be remembered as such. Madam Mayor, today we do not simply remember the darkness of that July morning. We celebrate the light that followed, the light that continues to shine in every act of kindness, every hand extended across difference, every choice to build rather than destroy. That is their legacy. This is our community. This is our country.
I would like us to stand for a minute of silence in their memory. Moving now on to item number 5, Youth Council. I invite members of the Youth Council to address the meeting.
Okay, so thank you. So good evening, councillors. Good evening, Madam Mayor. So as you know, we are the Youth Council, and today we're here to talk about our priorities and what's yet to come for the youths of our lovely borough. So we're all going to go around and we're all going to say our names and introduce ourselves. So first, my name's Albie Fenner, and I'm the current Youth Mayor of Hammersmith and Fulham.
My name's Elaf Al-Najjar, and I'm the Member of Youth Parliament of the Borough.
My name is Anushka Sharma, and I'm the Deputy Member of Youth Parliament.
My name is Matthew Stuber, and I'm a Youth Councillor.
My name is Precise Getsovich, and I'm the Deputy Youth Mayor.
My name is Miami Ray Gordon, and I am a Youth Councillor.
My name is Eliza Curley, and I am a Youth Councillor.
My name is Imtah Hassan, and I'm a Youth Councillor.
My name is Tarani Akhavan Masla, and I'm a Youth Councillor.
So now we go on to talk about and review our priorities and progress.
So within the Youth Council, we are trying to be as representative and as inclusive as possible. And we're trying to actively challenge the stereotype of Youth Council being for only a specific type of young person, which I understand you guys may have. But even just looking at us, we represent such a diverse range of young people from a range of backgrounds, different ability levels, and different values. And we think that's really important within the Youth Council. And we ensure we get that range of views through interacting with a range of different young people through our events, such as at Community Open Day, through our open recruitment sessions, and through interacting with youth boards, such as the Action on Disability Youth Board, and speaking to young carers, and so many more. Furthermore, we've got such a packed youth calendar to influence and co-produce with a range of different voices. For example, we are having a stand at Community Open Day and numerous open recruitment sessions for young people to have a taste of the Youth Council and get involved in the future, as we think it's an excellent way for young people to contribute to their voices, but also to listen to young people who maybe don't want that level of commitment.
Throughout this year, we've continued to make Youth Council even stronger. And one way we've done this is by increasing our communication as a Youth Council. So we've had several WhatsApp chats which detail all the meetings. So we have as many Youth Council members to come as possible. We've also increased the communication across schools. So it means that more schools know about our events, and it was really shown through the Youth Council recruitment session, where many new members came to experience Youth Council. We've also celebrated our successes, and we've really shown tangible change from our efforts. For example, from members of the strategic leads, who we've had several meetings with, and some of them are also here today. So yeah.
So this was the open day we had at the Irish Cultural Centre, and it pretty much gave an overview of what we did here. So I was there. I'm a new councillor, so I learned a lot. I learned a lot. There was a woman there that talked about her experience, and it was really enlightening, and it aligned. They want to. There were many people there to represent the borough.
Could we go back quickly? So this Tuesday, actually, we've got our next open recruitment session, which is on the 15th of July at 5 p.m. at West London College. So if you know any young people who you think would be interested in coming along to one of our sessions, please share the news, as it's a great opportunity to get a taste of what Youth Council is about, and really get involved. And we're also in the works of developing a new promotional video, actually being directed by one of our young people interested in filming and producing. So that's also something you guys can look forward to.
So we spoke to over 3,000 young people to figure out our priorities, and these are the ones that we've come up with. The first one is mental health, and we decided that we don't see enough of the mental health information in one place. So we co-produced it with someone, which you're going to hear from next. And we decided that we wanted to put it all together, so we co-produced it with another business. And yeah, so then for work readiness, we all as a youth council decided that we need more work experience. So we worked with the Youth Hub to rebrand the Youth Hub.
We've also been looking at life skills, which basically means at-home skills, so cooking, cleaning, financial stuff, and domestic skills and first aid. And we've also been looking at staying safe, so reporting crime, if anonymously, vaping, which has been a growing concern lately, and also healthy relationships.
Can we have the next slide? So now we're going to have a look at our progress and what we've actually done to reinforce these priorities. So first of all, on mental health, as Precise was saying, so many young people wanted an area where they could find all mental health resources in one place, because we didn't feel like we could find mental health resources easily. So what we did was we co-produced a website called Best For You by the Youth Council, and we had a session with them yesterday as well, which we were running through it and we were testing it. And it's this really amazing website that has like a wide range of topics based on mental health. For example, exploring emotions, and the age range is about 11 to 18, 11 to 25. So that's a really important aspect of our priority that has been introduced. The other thing that we thought was really important was work readiness, because we did not feel like young people were ready to go into the world of work simply just from education. So we used the website HNF Works to produce a live opportunity and to have many work opportunities and work experiences on that page. And people and talent have managed to identify work experiences that young people can use and find across the borough.
So in our most recent open recruitment session, which was on the 10th of June, we discussed what we'd like to see in our PSHE lessons. And some of the topics that came up were dealing with financial problems and dealing with financial skills in university, and life skills such as cooking, baking, and others. We also shared this with schools, and we also co-produced some of the hub for young people and from the children's occupational therapists.
To add on to progress we've made, we have helped promote and create Crime Stoppers, a Fearless campaign, which is an app which helps young people anonymously report any crimes that has happened to them, which can help if you feel uncomfortable or unsafe to talk to someone about it. And also a podcast series on healthy relationships and sexual health, which already has a target audience reached of 1,000 young people, which helps to show how necessary open and raw talks are. So something we would like to improve and continue we would like to continue improving and increasing the diversity of the youth council. So we would like to include a wider range of ethnicities, backgrounds, and ages, so we can have a wide variation of people participating. We would also like to work with more strategic leads, so that we can take into action the priorities of our young people. We would also like to promote the Youth Hub through events such as open recruitment.
And so to carry on talking about the podcast, we have recently decided to create a series on inclusion with the Action on Disability Youth Board at the West Youth Zone. So recently they have done a premiere of their thoughts and feelings to express their voice and how they feel like they should be treated and how their priorities need to be highlighted. We also have the Youth Achievement Awards coming up, which is a whole borough decision of voting about different people in the borough, recognising their choices and their responsibilities. And we also have the election coming up next year for the next members of the Youth Cabinet. And also, as a Youth Council, I ask for you today, for you all to get involved in what we do, because as a family, as a borough, we really appreciate the recognition that we're getting as a Youth Council. And I feel like to have everyone involved, we'd be forever so grateful if you all could get involved. And if you would like to work with us, please contact our Youth Voice Coordinator, Brenda Winnett. Her email's up on the presentation. Also, if you need to have a look at our Instagram to see what we do, just come and talk to us. And thank you for listening to us. We really appreciate this. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
I have been informed councillors Harvey and Afzal Khan would like to speak.
I'm just going to hold this so I can actually see you when I speak. Well done. That was so brilliant. You're so brave to come and speak to everyone here and to have such confidence. It's really wonderful. So you really should be really proud of yourselves. Yeah, you really should be proud of yourselves because you're very young, you're ambitious, you're making sure that you amplify the voices of other young people, ensuring that they can be heard and they're accounted for so that they can thrive. And that's just an amazing thing. You're ensuring that our young people get to feed into the strategic planning and innovation across the borough. And I just wanted to touch on the research project you did because it is absolutely wonderful that you were able to get over 3,000 other young people to come forward, talk about the issues that are important to them and contribute to your priorities. So you should be so, so proud of that. It's really wonderful. And I would also add that last year at Full Council, you said that you were aiming to get 1,000 young people to use your online spaces. And you've exceeded that. You've got over 1,000 people using those resources. So you really should be so proud of the hard work you've done. You're a credit to the borough and to all the young people. And I would say that it's really great that we've got 22 new youth councillors and a huge congratulations to them. Young people are the future of our borough, and it's really great that you're putting yourselves forward and showing other young people, as well as us, the way that things should be done. That's really wonderful. And I would say that the brilliant podcast that you've been working on, the healthy relationships, the staying safe, is so important for all of us. So just to sort of finish really, thank you, Albie. You've been a really brilliant chair, and to the deputies as well. The council, as a council, we'd like to endorse the wide co-production work right across relevant departments across the council, and we look forward to working with you. Well done. Huge congratulations.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On behalf of the Conservative group, I would like to extend our congratulations to the Youth Council for their phenomenal work on co-producing the areas of focus and the priorities. Summer in the City programme, amazing work. The website for work readiness, I've had a look, it's great. The PSHE curriculum, all this that you are doing is on top of your actual jobs, which is being the brilliant students that you are at school, and on top of your own family commitments. So we are extremely proud of how you are setting such a great example for this wonderful borough. I want to thank you for leading the way for young people in this borough, for expanding the membership of the Youth Voice and creating such an effective, inclusive and creative calendar of activities that young people from all the schools can participate in. You make your families, your school community, and all of us so, so proud. I just want to do a little shout out to Matthew, who was my maths student. So I'm so happy to see you here today. And I didn't know you were such a confident young man. Well done, all of you. Thank you so much.
Yes, I will. Can I just lastly say thank you from me and Mayor. I think you've done a fabulous job and we're very proud of you in this room, as clearly has been stated by the administration and the opposition. Well done to you all. Thanks again. Moving on now to item number 6, public questions. I would like to thank everyone who took the time to submit questions to tonight's meeting. Public question time is limited to 20 minutes. If a question does not receive a reply in the meeting, a written response will be sent and published in the minutes. For ease of reference, I have provided a copy of your question for you. The questioner called will have an opportunity to ask a brief follow-up question. I have been informed that questions for number 2, 4 and 5 are in attendance. So question 1 has been informed the questioner will be unable to attend. So question 2, I invite Richard Cazenove to ask a question to Councillor Chevette-Verdier, Cabinet Member for Public Realm. Please, can you read your question?
Thank you very much, Mayor. At the March 2024 full council meeting, Councillor Holder kindly reported that council officers were working to implement by the early summer a scheme which would provide automatic exemption for vehicles travelling to and from the Hurlingham Club from the Hurlingham Road Clean Air Neighbourhood Camera. 12 months on since it was promised and nearly 3 years since the scheme started, nothing unfortunately has happened, even though the technology is already being used on Broomhouse Lane for club traffic returning via Wandsworth Bridge. Trying to get a clear answer from council officers on the status of this initiative is near impossible. As such, please can the Cabinet Member confirm if the exemption is ever going to be implemented, and if so, when it will happen?
Thank you. I invite the Cabinet Member to provide a response.
Well, thanks, Richard, for writing about this. I was on the planning committee that looked at changing the layout of the road to introduce that, voted for it. So very enthusiastic about rolling it out. The straight answer is we had cameras, but the tech didn't perform as we would have wanted it. So we're reviewing this. The promise is that it'll be done before the end of the year.
Thank you. Richard, do you have a follow-up question?
No, that's great. I obviously look forward to seeing it being implemented by the end of the year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. I've been informed the questioner questioner for number 3 is unable to attend, so a written response will be provided. Question number 4, I invite Alex Coldridge to ask a question to Councillor Chevette-Verdier, Cabinet Member for Public Realm. Please, can you read your question?
Thank you, Mayor. In the council's recent post on Nextdoor, they mentioned that an architect's report had been commissioned from Jan Cattain to assess and improve the Uxbridge Road. This is obviously a welcome move given the visual decline of the area and also given the successes other boroughs have had with applying and enforcing visual standards. When will the council release this report, and what plans does the council have for implementing the recommendations?
Right. I invite the Cabinet Member to provide a response.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I think not so much a useful update for you, but maybe more for the group. So since that question was put forward, we've since met. For context, the Young Kitane report is a report that we commissioned in December that looked at shop frontages and what can be done on the Uxbridge Road. So soft interventions where we can sort of work with businesses, which is always enforcement powers. We prefer the soft touch. We've had the meeting last week where we sort of said that we'll take all the residents who are interested in that report specifically and have a training session on that. So I know that officers will be in touch. And thanks for all your work. And you're working with Councillor Ume on the Virgin box as well as the BID projects. Really thanks to you.
Alex, do you have a second question?
Not a follow-up question, but just a follow-up comment. I guess just as one of over 2,500 residents who signed the Fix Uxbridge Road petition, I guess we really welcome the engagement from the council on this. I think it's something that's long overdue. There's a lot of amazing stuff that can be done to improve that really vital road in the borough. And we really welcome everyone's kind of help with that across the visual standards, the planning, the ASB, the crime, etc., etc. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing that progressing. And obviously, as residents, we really want to help move that forward as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Question number 5. I invite Jack Dryden to ask a question to Councillor Harcourt, Cabinet Member for Climate Change and Ecology. Please, can you read your question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What plans does the council have to improve the green environment around Uxbridge Road, utilising its green investment scheme in the next 6 to 12 months? Following recent campaignings by locals, including myself, what projects are planned to introduce more trees, rain gardens, or improve cycle infrastructure that has recently been along King Street and in Fulham, and do that on Uxbridge Road?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Dryden, for that question. Greening the borough is something that's very, very important to us. And in fact, only today I was met by a resident who came up to me to congratulate us on the work we've done at the rain gardens and the greening of King Street. So in terms of the H&F green investment that you talk about, it's funding a wide range of greening projects across the borough, including in the Shepherd's Bush area. This includes SUD scheme, Sustainable Urban Drainage Scheme, greening on Westville Road, Ashkew Road, cycle hangers across the borough, including around the road, and tree planting across the borough. We've applied or in the However, we have to bear in mind there are some constraints, utilities and such like that need to be considered.
Jack, do you have a follow-up question?
I'd just like to echo Alex's comments and say thank you very much for the council for working with us on this, and we look forward to more engagement going forward.
Okay. Can I just say that questions 6 to 9, I have been informed the questioners are unable to attend, so a written response will be provided. Okay. Right. That's it. Okay, so that's the end of public questions. Thank you. Right. Okay, that's lovely. We're going to move now on to item number 7, committee reports. Item 7.1, results of the local government by-election on the 3rd of July 2025. The council is requested to note the report on the results of the local government by-election on the 3rd of July 2025. Before I invite members to speak, I'd like to welcome Councillor Liam Downer Sanderson to the council and extend our thanks to all the staff who supported the election for their hard work and professionalism. Okay, right. I've been informed Councillor Alfonso and Schmid would like to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And what a delight it is to welcome Councillor Liam Downer-Sanderson to our benches this evening. A tough-fought by-election. The leader of the council and I even bumped into each other knocking on doors in Ethel Rankin Court 2 days before polling day. Such was the scale of the hand-to-hand combat for votes for the people of Fulham Town. But in the end, the result was clear. Madam Mayor, with the local elections under 10 months away, voters across the whole themselves looking at what the parties have to offer. In Fulham Town, they all showed their true colours, socialism of all varieties. We even had the Green Socialist Party that confuses local politics with a student union debating chamber, focusing on the conflict in the Middle East as their main policy plank. The Turquoise Socialist Party with their mix of nationalism with the side of socialist economics. Then we had the Yellow Socialist Party, who thought smearing our candidate was a vote winner. Their vote went backwards, didn't it? And we can't forget the Red Socialist Party in front of us, who enjoyed dabbling in cartoons of Axemen and Project Fear. How is that 40% vote share reduction going, guys? Good? Okay. Madam Mayor, is any surprise that they emphatically chose to support our fantastic candidate when presenting this lot? Madam Mayor, Fulham Town once again has two local champions. Full out that Councillor Downer-Sanderson will be an excellent ward councillor, joining the formidable Councillor Brocklebank Fowler. Looking ahead to next year, we know what happens when Labour runs out of ideas. They trot out wild assertions, personal smears, and try to fight the battles of 20 years ago. And in parallel, they even put up taxes. Next year, residents across Hammersmith and Fulham will have the choice to vote for a common sense, positive, ambitious vision for this borough with the Conservatives, or continued managed decline under Labour. Madam Mayor, the voters in Fulham Town have made their choice. Next year, so will the rest of the borough.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and welcome, Madam Mayor, to Roland. Yeah, we'd like to warmly welcome Councillor Downer-Sanderson. Thank you for putting yourself forward, and also send our best wishes to Andrew Dinsmore. I understand he resigned to spend more time with his family. So we're comforted to see that he very quickly found a by-election where he's moved, which is just an extraordinary coincidence, the timing that his family needs and the by-election just popped up at the exact same time. So congratulations to him on that good fortune. I'd also like to thank all the other candidates who stood, particularly young Sam Kelly, the Labour candidate. Did a brilliant job and has a very bright future. And also like to thank officers, poll workers, and most of all residents. I think by my count, since 2005, this was the 18th election that some residents in Fulham Town will have participated in, including 3 by-elections. So I'm sure they're always pleased when we come round. I'm sure they're looking forward. I'm sure they're looking forward to next May when we'll be visiting them again. But thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Is this report noted? Thank you. Moving on to item 7.2, allocation of seats and proportionality on committees. Is the report noted? Moving on to item 7.3, review of the Constitution. I call upon the leader, Councillor Cowan, to move the report and recommendations.
Formally moved.
Is the report and the recommendations agreed? Agreed. The recommendations are therefore carried. Item 7.4, Finance Peer Challenge Review. I've been informed that Councillors Ree, Alfonso, Homan and Walsh wish to speak on this item. Councillor Ree.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Tonight, the Council is publishing the LGA peer review of Hammersmith and Fulham's finance function. If you'll forgive me, I don't want this to sound too much like the Oscar ceremony, but I'd like to start with a few thanks. Firstly, thanks to the specialist peer review team that came here to Hammersmith and Fulham at the end of April in order to look over our books. As I say, we had a highly technical, talented team, a current chief executive who previously been a Section 151 officer, 2 current cabinet members for finance, one Labour, one Conservative, and 2 directors of finance from other local authorities. They spent their week in the borough, pouring through budgets, committee papers, and accounts, and interviewed councillors, officers, and some of our partners. I'm very grateful for the time that they took and for the thorough review that they've put together and the useful recommendations that they have given us. I'd also like to thank, within the council, the officers, Sharon, Sukhvinder, James, Matt, and everyone who took the time to speak to these reviewers or to prepare the paperwork that they looked through. This really was a comprehensive process, and it couldn't have happened without all of the work that you've done. I'd like to thank our contractors, our social partners, and those who we work with who also were interviewed during the process. And I'd like to thank councillors from both sides of the chamber who took the time to speak to them so that they could come with this report. Now, it's a requirement that we publish this report, but I'm very happy to do so because at a time when so much of the news about local government finance is scary, is worrying, this gives us a chance to reassure residents of Hammersmith and Fulham that their finances are being well looked after. The report itself notes our effective political and officer leadership. It says that we are financially well run and praises our track record. And it recognises our commitment to ruthless financial efficiency that runs through this council like a stick of rock. But I'd particularly like to draw the council's attention to recommendation 7, that we share the learning with the sector from the council's leading edge work on economic growth and the Upstream London programme. They were so impressed with the council's industrial strategy that they want us to shout about it from the rooftops so that the rest of local government can see the excellent work that we are doing. Now, if I had £1 for every time I heard a political candidate say that they would pay for their priorities through eliminating waste, well, my job here would be an awful lot easier. But it is tough. Don't just take my word for it. Just look across the pond for an example of how difficult finding waste within public spending can be. Elon Musk is a deplorable human being, but a very successful businessman. Yet he abjectly failed to find any worthwhile savings in a £7 trillion US federal budget. Reform councils are learning this exact lesson around the country as they go through the books and find that cutting waste isn't as easy as it sounds. But that is what we have done here in Hammersmith and Fulham. Faced with a 54% cut, real terms cut, to our grant from central government, we have not only protected the services that we offer to residents, but we've gone further, providing services like free breakfast for primary school children, free home care for those who need it, a unique law enforcement team, all this while cutting or freezing council tax 5 times in the last 10 years. How many organisations can say that they are doing more than they were doing a decade and a half ago with less than half of the resources? Now, we've only been able to do this because of our approach to ruthless financial efficiency, cutting out £138 million of wasteful spending left by the previous administration so that we can protect the frontline services that matter to our residents. And that is what we will continue to do. As the report notes, we are planning for the future with long-term plans to face the future challenges. We will take our response to the recommendations to the Policy Oversight Board next week, and you will see progress in our transformation programmes over the coming months and years, many years to come. Now, I know that one of the members of the opposition likes using school report cards as a way to demonstrate how the council's getting on. This report is very much an A star. I'd like to thank the peer review team who came here. I'd like to thank all the officers, the councillors, and our partners who helped with this work, and I commend this report to the council. Thank you very much.
Councillor Alfonso.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's good to see the Cabinet Member for Finance has been reading my Deputy Leader's Conhome articles on reforms Doge councils. Madam Mayor, the recent Finance Peer Challenge report makes for a nuanced read. While it acknowledges some strengths, it reveals concerning weaknesses in this Labour administration's governance and strategic planning. The report makes several formal recommendations, a significant number of which demonstrate clear areas where improvement is urgently needed. This isn't the glowing endorsement the administration might suggest, but rather a roadmap highlighting fundamental deficiencies in their approach. Most troubling is the damning assessment of our scrutiny arrangements. This was something Councillor Altford rightfully raised during her submissions, and it comes as no surprise that the panel agreed with her. The report explicitly states that scrutiny could be, and I quote, more actively supported, and notes that members need dedicated training to fulfill their oversight roles effectively. This is a direct indictment of this administration's soft-touch approach to democratic accountability. The financial planning reveals alarming complacency. The administration has made ambitious, in the report's words, and diplomatic way to say unrealistic, assumptions about reducing demand growth spending by over 11 million from 2027 onward. These targets depend entirely on transformation programs that remain poorly defined and under-resourced. The peer team found differing perceptions across the organisation about what transformation actually means, hardly confidence-inspiring for such crucial savings. The administration's approach to community engagement is also woefully inadequate. Unlike other councils facing difficult decisions, they've avoided meaningful resident consultation, focusing only on statutory requirements, truly owning the mantra of doing things to residents rather than with them. And then if we look to housing, specifically the HRA turnaround, while eventually successful, this took far too long. The external auditor identified significant weaknesses in 22 to 23, and it required direct chief executive intervention to address years of overspends and poor performance. Perhaps most revealing is the parking income shortfall, 8 million in 2024-25. The administration's explanations have shifted from successful behaviour change to fraud and delays. What the administration actually means is because of their hostile approach to visitors coming to our borough, visiting friends and family, using our fantastic local businesses, that these people no longer come as they've been fined ad absurdum. It is, in many ways, a direct mirror of Labour's approach to national government. Treat people and businesses like cash cows, go for short-term fiscal bump, then find that you've decreased economic activity and you're actually in a worse economic place. Madam Mayor, while the report acknowledges a basic level of financial competence, it exposes an administration struggling with strategic vision, democratic accountability, and honest engagement with residents. Many recommendations, many areas where this Labour administration has fallen short of expected standards.
Thank you. Councillor Homan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Unlike the previous speaker, I'm absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to support this report. And I was hoping that here in Hammersmith and Fulham, the party opposite would also be doing so tonight. I know that opposition councillors were interviewed in relation to the peer review, and I thank you for your contributions. But the previous speaker, I am sure, is not talking about the report before us here this evening. It won't be news to anyone in local government that local government finance is not in a good place. Councils of all political persuasions, including a couple of until recently run Conservative-led councils to the west of where we are standing this evening, have gone bust. Others are in real difficulty and have had to dramatically cut services and or seek permission from the government to raise the council tax by more than the cap. 6 were given permission to do so, and a number of others applied but were unsuccessful. Challenging times given the national context. Having our finances independently reviewed by external officers and councillors. Despite the confidence that I have in our officers and the political leadership, not necessarily a comfortable proposition. But the findings of this report are therefore a phenomenal achievement and really should be congratulated. In Hammersmith and Fulham, we have cut £138 million from our budget since we took control in 2024 and 2014. At the same time, we have kept council tax low. We remain the third lowest council tax in the country. And most importantly, we have done what I came into politics to do, which was to deliver on labour and values and provide the services that our residents need and expect from us, their council. We've already heard about free breakfast. We're the only council to do free adult social care, one of the few councils that continue with the council tax support grant. We have created 13,000 jobs through our industrial strategy, set up lots of local businesses, and we have initiatives like the Pathway Bond for young people to find the jobs of the future, fighting antisocial behaviour and having the biggest CCTV network in the UK. We're tackling traffic pollution, working hard to address the climate change emergency, being recently recognised as the second best council in the country for our actions. I will now go back to the peer report. If I could refer you to page 39 within the LGA report, we were assessed on five criteria, and I'm not going to go into all of those, but we were commended on all areas, and it was an overwhelmingly positive review. As with all reports, there are recommendations, and we will continue to deliver effective financial management for the residents of Hammersmith and Fulham in the future. All the recommendations are welcome, but I would particularly note the one that Councillor Rees already stressed, is to share the learning in the sector of the Council's leading edge work on economic growth in upstream London. In other words, we don't shout enough about the good things that we do. In the current local government finance environment, this is an outstandingly good report, and as chair of the Policy and Oversight Board, I will be ensuring that the progress on those recommendations are monitored and that we continue to delve into the work that the council does to deliver good, sound finances and excellent services through the various initiatives and service transformation programmes that we've already been looking at. Well done to everyone. Let's continue to work together to deliver for the residents of Hammersmith and Fulham. I thoroughly recommend this report. Thank you.
Councillor Walsh. Councillor Walsh.
Madam Mayor, there is a simple truth at the heart of good government. Before you spend money well, you must manage it well. That's the foundation that this administration has led. And this is why I am proud to speak tonight as the chair of the Audit Committee, as we reflect on the findings of April's Finance Peer Challenge. This was an independent, rigorous review by experienced local government leaders. Their verdict was clear. This council is financially resilient, professionally led, and focused on value for money. That success is no accident. It reflects the diligence, professionalism, and day-to-day rigor of our finance team and our audit officers, who ensure that our systems are sound, our risks are managed, and our decisions are grounded in fiscal discipline. I want to place on record my thanks to them, not just for supporting this report, but for their quiet and vital work that they do all year round. As a result of this diligence, we've been able to keep council tax low, protect reserves, and still invest in vital services like free home care, our dedicated law enforcement team, and our breakfast clubs, because we have made sound financial management a non-negotiable. Madam Mayor, if you want to deliver a lasting public good, you have to be disciplined, focused, and always keep the value of rigorous financial efficiency at the heart of what you do. This report recognized that we are ambitious, and rightly so. But our ambition is backed by a clear plan, strong fiscal controls, and a leadership team that understands the need for lasting delivery for our residents. That not just a technical cess, it's a moral one, because getting the finances right means that we protect the services of our residents who rely on them so much. This peer review also made practical recommendations, including the appointment of an independent member of the audit committee and the enhanced training and support of members. These are steps that will be taken forward. Colleagues, public trust is hard won and easily lost. It is earned not by promises, but by performance. And tonight we can say with confidence and humility, this administration is performing and earning that trust. We are careful with money because we care about the people who we serve. We are prudent not to limit our ambitions, but to make them real and durable. This is the quiet, serious businesses of local leadership and is being done well here in Hammersmith and Fulham. Thank you, Mayor.
Are there any other speakers? Councillor Reid.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Just in case anyone thinks I've been congratulating myself too much this evening, I'd like to congratulate the Leader of the Opposition. It's certainly very creative to have read this report and come up with the speech that you did. Let me just try reading the words that are in the report for you. The first line of the summary. The London Borough of Hammersmith and Fulham is very ambitious and financially well run. Gosh, you wouldn't have thought that from hearing your speech. Slightly further down the page, it was clear that there is a high level of political support for and challenge of financial management. Robust financial governance is supported by a management culture that recognises the importance of value for money, negating the point he made about scrutiny. The Council's leadership and effective working with public and private sector partners, including on economic growth, has important learning for the wider sector. Upstream London is an exemplar of strong political leadership and a proactive approach, which has significantly benefited the borough and its residents. Now, I didn't hear the word damning in any of those lines. He says that the report is damning about the scrutiny that the administration faces. Well, scrutiny is supposed to come from the opposition. I'd say that's a pretty damning assessment of your own colleagues. You mentioned the HRA and the auditor's assessment of the HRA. Well, the auditor has praised us for the way that we have turned around the HRA. And as I say to Councillor Alford every month at Cabinet, we've abolished the structural deficit in the HRA and we are boosting reserves every day. Perhaps the inspiration that they have for finance in local government is from their own former colleague, Councillor Andrew Johnson. I don't know if you remember him, former Fulham Reach councillor until he was booted out of there. He managed to find his way to Windsor and Maidenhead before bankrupting that council, going cap in hand to Angela Rayner, asking for a 25% council tax increase, and then losing his council seat to a 22-year-old Liberal candidate. Councillor Homan is absolutely right to say that we were commended in all areas that this report considered. And Councillor Walsh, talking about the audit committee, is absolutely right to highlight the recommendation on appointing an independent member, something that we are already in the process of doing, as well as arranging the extra training for committee members. Perhaps the opposition should go about looking at some training that they could do to improve their own scrutiny. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is the report noted? Moving on now to item number 8, special reports, or so, sorry, special motions. Okay. Understanding order 16. Sorry.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, that missed my line. Understanding order 16D3, I move that the special motions be taken in the following order: 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. Thank you.
Okay. Special motion number 4, protecting and improving Uxbridge Road for all residents and businesses. I call upon councillors Chevat-Verdier and Harvey to move and second.
Formally moved.
Formally second.
I call upon councillor Chevat-Verdier and Harvey to speak for the administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, can I first of all congratulate you on your appointment? I haven't had a chance to do that. And as your predecessor will say, probably congratulate you on a very strong upgrade of the role of consort. I also wanted to thank all the officers and team members who took part in Saturday's Pride March. Jackie, Alex and Lydia at home, I see you. Ladies always by the side of the community, gentlemen up your game. And it was a very proud moment for us seeing many, many residents look at us and be proud to see the best of our borough on the streets of London. And finally, well, I was proud to be part of the welcome committee of President Macron today. One welcome of our city to our neighbour with whom I have a particular relationship. Very happy that I hope this UK France Summit results in a deeper relationship between our countries. I think we should always stand together in the face of terror. That's what our countries do. Longue vie à l'entente cordiale. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm pleased to speak in support of this motion following the public questions, which recognises the unique character and identity of Uxbridge Road. It's a street that reflects much of the very best of our borough, a place where cultures meet and talk, where independent businesses thrive, and where residents and visitors alike come to shop, eat, and experience the vibrancy of our community. We know that the Uxbridge Road is not without its challenges. We also know that the solution lies in partnership with all residents and businesses, and that is exactly how we are approaching this. As I said it, on the 2nd of July, we met with residents for the first Uxbridge Road Community Dialogue session. I felt it was a really positive and constructive conversation. I think you've heard it from above the questions too. And I want to thank everyone who took part in the meeting for the quality of their contributions. I hope they agree, but not here to tell us, but I hope that they do, that we listened carefully and that we are acting. We are already delivering a wide-ranging programme of improvements. These include deep cleaning of payments, enhanced waste management, including introducing time-bounded collections. Don't talk to me about this, I'll talk to you for hours. And the removal of graffiti and fly posting. We are repainting and renewing street furniture, reducing unnecessary signage, and working with operators to remove disused phone boxes. Shopfront improvements are also on the way. We've talked about the Yankton report, with businesses being supported and, where necessary, held to account. To improve safety, we have more than doubled the number of patrols by the council's ALET, from under 500 in April to well over 1,000 in both May and June. These officers are working closely with the Met and outreach teams to support vulnerable individuals and tackle ASB. We are also investing in the UK's most extensive CCTV network to support this work and keep the area safe. But this is not just about enforcement or cleaning. It's about pride of place. We are working with young local artists to bring new public art to the area, including on the Underground Bridge. We are exploring new greening opportunities. Cabinet Member for the Environment has said it. And we are supporting a feasibility study, as I mentioned, for a business improvement district, which would empower local business leaders to lead on the long-term investment and revitalisation of the area. We've commissioned award-winning architects, that's Yankton again, who inspire communities through their design work to help us reimagine the streets. Crucially, we are not doing this alone. We are building a representative community group that includes residents from across the entire area, renters, homeowners, those in social housing, as well as people from diverse ethnic and social backgrounds, and local businesses as well. This group will help us shape the future of the Uxbridge Road to ensure that no one is left behind and that all voices are heard. We will continue to meet with residents, to listen and to act. The petition we received has helped to galvanise this work, and it builds on months of effort and a long-standing shared commitment to change. Together, we are making Uxbridge Road cleaner, safer and more vibrant, while protecting its diversity and its identity that make it so special. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Harvey.
I'm reserving my right to speak.
Okay. I've been informed that councillors Lang, Lloyd Harris, Jones, Vaughan and Mercy Ume also wish to speak. So, Councillor Lang.
Bit of a tight squeeze here. Right. Thank you, Mayor. I wish to support this motion and the recent petition as both a councillor and member for Brook Green, but also I speak as a resident in Wormholt Ward W12. 20 years, loving living just off the Uxbridge Road. the mighty bush, a unique mix of urban vibrancy and grit. That's why I've not moved and stayed living here, working with all to continue to improve our community. A few years ago, Time Out magazine cited the Uxbridge Road Shepherd's Bush, and they said it was one of the most diverse roads, if not the most diverse road in London for eating and restaurants. Pie and mash, Syrian, Caribbean, Thai, Greek, fish and chips, Somalian, Lebanese, Polish, Lahori, and Ethiopian, to name just a few, many of which I regularly use, and in particular to celebrate with friends in Little Syria at the end of Ramadan. Uxbridge Road with Bush Hall, Next Door Records, Bush Theatre, Shepherd's Bush Market, and the Shepherd's Bush Mosque has its own vibrant and unique character. And a few years ago, long before I was a councillor, I was involved with a group of residents in successfully lobbying the Labour Council to have more trees planted in our road, making a significant and colourful difference. And during the difficult days of the pandemic, the Labour Council supported local residents, greening other outdoor spaces in adjoining roads. And these green spaces have not only survived, they flourish. Of course, as with many, pardon me, is that right? I'll keep going, I've got quite a loud voice. Of course, as with many urban areas nationwide, and in London particularly, post the pandemic, Uxbridge Road faces challenges and the need to improve its safety, vibrancy, and cleanliness. Therefore, I welcome the petition and engagement of residents, and I'm pleased to see the council responding proactively, and that being recognised by residents tonight. To improve the road, decluttering street furniture, removing graffiti, working with businesses and local artists to improve shop fronts, removing unused satellite dishes. And I'm aware of a recent letter sent by the council to businesses' shops on the Uxbridge Road. And I fully support the Hammersmith and Fulham innovative law enforcement team who continue to be visible on the Uxbridge Road in tackling crime and antisocial behaviour and supporting residents. So we can all continue to work to create a compassionate and inclusive council, to do things with residents, not to them, taking pride in Hammersmith and Fulham, and building, of course, shared prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lloyd Harris.
Thank you very much. Just a procedural problem. Thank you. Madam Mayor, I believe that all residents and businesses would welcome the improvements in Uxbridge Road. The description stated in this motion could reflect the appearance of a number of major roads in our borough, not just Uxbridge Road. One may ask, why has it taken so many years for any acknowledgement of the decline of this major busy road? The decline and indeed decay is obvious by the state of the pavements and the vacant buildings. It actually reminds me in some ways of Saigon, overhanging wires attached to buildings without any concern about the fire risk that they pose to people and businesses. The road, even with all the human traffic, looks and feels as though it's in decline. We know from years of evidence that with increased graffiti, the clutter of excessive street furniture, signage on pavements leads residents to believe it will attract more antisocial behaviour. None of this is new. We could and should do better. Why have the council been allowing this area to deteriorate to this extent? One female resident I spoke to yesterday said that many locals in her street will not venture to Uxbridge Road at night through fear of the groups of young males who congregate. She said, I have no problem as I know how to hunker down and get on with it and avoid eye contact. And is this really what it's come to be? I mean, this doesn't seem right for our borough. I have family who live in the area and they have confirmed this residents' view of Uxbridge Road and the sense of feeling unsafe that is reflected in the poor state of local shops. There are drug dealers plying their trade on Uxbridge Road, pitch battles between groups of youths in the side streets. Increasing patrols of the LET or police would ensure that there is a visual presence and should encourage residents to take back their streets. It's worked in New York, so I see no reason why it can't work here. And how many chicken and fast food outlets can any one street support? Clearly a very, very large number. Unfortunately, its impact on the health of those who regularly frequent those fast food outlets, and in the longer term, adds to a huge financial drain on the NHS. Whilst the council is attempting to clean up the street, they may wish to start educating students and young adults on healthy eating options available in the local area. Imperial is doing its bit to educate young adults, but the battle is far from being won due to the influx of some of these outlets. Residents and business groups should be encouraged to improve the appearance of their shops, remove graffiti as soon as it is daubed on their shutters and walls. We need businesses to take pride in the area and the council to actively support them. Shoppers are likely to use shops that are welcoming and encourage people to come in and browse. If shoppers don't enter a shop, then the business will not last. Boarded up shop fronts suggest a rundown and unsafe community. Encouraging businesses to tidy up their shop fronts and the council to take better care of the state of pavements and the general clutter will improve the ambience of the area. This in turn will improve the borough's economy and lead to greater employment for locals. As I asked earlier in my speech, why has it taken so many years for the council to improve the livelihood of what they consider to be their political heartland? Is it because of the political uncertainty, or the businesses and residents are now being heard? Unfortunately, this motion does not acknowledge how or why the administration left its residents and businesses in such a dire environment. They deserve better and they deserve an explanation. Thank you.
Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, there's a few things I want to say, but I think I should also respond to some of the slightly concerning comments in the previous speech. The first thing I would say, though, is that I've represented wards around the Uxbridge Road now for a good more than a decade, and it is, as Councillor Lang said, one of the most diverse and amazing parts of this borough. And as the motion says, it has a particularly distinct and unique character, which I'm afraid also does present a degree of complexity. So I've spoken to many of my own constituents, many residents, as colleagues in wards have. And of course, there are undoubtedly, as we've said before, challenges which we are intent on addressing and working with residents in all of those wards to address. But there are also a wide range of opinions about what the Uxbridge Road should be. It is wonderful and complex, but also wonderful and diverse. So one person's shop that they don't like very much is also some of the most vibrant parts of the street I've known for a very long time. I personally have been in many of the businesses with different parts of the Shepherd's Bush and Uxbridge community who see things very differently. And this is one of the joys of a diverse borough and one of our great strengths. But it is, in truth, not without challenge. So some people have different views, and that's right, about how the road should develop. We have, as an administration, one of the first things I did in 2014 when we took control of this authority was work closely with Shepherd's Bush Theatre, the Bush Theatre. This authority invested significant amounts of money into regeneration and investment and community facilities. Clearly, that's some time ago now, but is a symbol of the commitment of this administration to part of the borough. Now, I want to turn to the meeting. I thoroughly welcome the petition because, to the point being made, some of which I don't recognise the description of how the community feel. I'm not quite sure why the appearance of shops would make people feel unsafe, but we must have an inclusive community on Shepherd's Bush Road and a regeneration in response to this petition that includes all the different constituent residents in our community and makes a co-produced regeneration development of the road that is going to be a tribute and something we can all be proud of in different parts of the community can be. I was enormously encouraged by the meeting, and I absolutely welcome the comments in the public questions, because there is clearly a groundswell of willingness and constructive engagement to think about how to do this as a community. And what I would say as an administration is we're committed to working with residents, as was said before, but that if we were not to do that, if we were to impose one vision, I had several different distinct visions that many of my residents in White City Ward wouldn't necessarily recognise or like very much. If we go down a single path, we will not be successful in generating a vision of place, as was said, that is something we can all be proud of in Hammersmith and Fulham, and which will move the Uxbridge Road in the way forward that we would like. It is important that we recognise, as Councillor Lang said, this road is famous, has more restaurants from it does have a whole range of restaurants and is a long stretch of road. It is well known and still attracts many people from across London to different types of cuisine. It's a relatively unique part of the borough compared to other areas, and only by working with residents and engaging, as we have begun to do with the excellent meeting on the 2nd of July, will we be successful in generating a place for the next future decades that we can all be proud of. So I am thoroughly pleased that we have such a level of interest from the community, and I would re-emphasise the commitment of the administration to work with all residents to succeed in this endeavour. Thank you very much.
Councillor Vaughan.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and please also accept my congratulations on your accession as the first citizen of Hammersmith and Fulham. So can I thank Councillor Chavot-Verdier and those who've spoken on, particularly on this side, for bringing this motion, and obviously thank and welcome those residents who've asked questions tonight and petitioned on the issue. I very much welcome what Councillor Chavot-Verdier has talked about in terms of the diverse group he's putting together in order to co-produce improvements that are needed on the Uxbridge Road. As Councillor Jones has also said, it will need that diverse group of residents and businesses to make sure that we get the place that everyone wants to be. But I think that we should remember that the Uxbridge Road, as was being said already, is a diverse, busy neighbourhood described in tonight's motion. We've talked about it already, but it's got culture, with the award-winning Bush Theatre producing some of the country's leading plays. Baby Reindeer, I think, was something that was on there a while ago. People may have heard of that. But they go with a lot of new writing, encouraging the cultural life of this country and this city in its many ways. Bush Hall is a fantastic amenity. There are the markets, a diverse range of other businesses, many of which have won brilliant business awards when we've held those in the past. And recently, and I don't understand all of the some of the criticisms, there's been a new pub I know has opened, which is a sister pub to several in the Cotswolds, which is now seems to be full every time I walk past it. So these are all well used by residents and visitors, but we obviously, as part of tonight's questions and tonight's discussion, recognise there can be improvements. So I'd like to welcome the action that's noted in tonight's motion. And as we've heard, the improvements include decluttering street furniture, deep cleaning the pavements, removing the graffiti, encouraging local businesses to act responsibly, engaging with landlords and businesses to ensure compliance with licensing and planning standards, and obviously looking at the feasibility of setting up a Shepherd's Bush business improvement district. So, I mean, obviously the environmental improvements will benefit both residents and visitors and help to revitalise this really important road. And I hope all those interested, residents and businesses, are engaged in this project, as they're all going to be key to make sure this thing works. But to take a step back, I'd certainly urge Councillor Chavot-Verdier, those who are involved, and officers to ensure that the revived, in ensuring it works, ensuring business compliance with planning regulations and other regulations will be vital to ensure it works for local residents. Councillors Ree Homan and I have worked on a number of very important cases of residents living immediately off the Uxbridge Road on parking, antisocial behaviour and crime. And
whilst our businesses are vital, they're absolutely vital to the success of the road, where they fall short, the negative impact on neighbours, our local residents, can be severe, as has been highlighted in one of the questions that wasn't discussed tonight. So where there are examples of regular antisocial behaviour, that can drive residents to distraction. And so in those examples, and I sort of put this again to Councillor Short, officers must redouble their efforts and redouble them again where necessary to take appropriate action to ensure those very small minority of businesses understand their responsibilities, including making sure that their customers are also aware of their impact on residents. We regularly get issues of people parking right on the street corners on Uxbridge Road, which causes problems, particularly for disabled residents who are unable to get across the roads there. So I'm glad to hear that this is going to be a joined up approach across the council, working, and I hope we'll work with other agencies where necessary to solve any problems. I think the bid will, if it goes forward, will focus minds and help residents and businesses to join together in their own interests. I hope they'll bear in mind, obviously, residents. But let me finish by reiterating that these improvements are really welcome. They should benefit both residents and businesses, but we'll need to ensure that the two work harmoniously together, with businesses remembering the needs of their neighbours to ensure that everyone benefits fully from these changes. Thank you.
Councillor Mercy Umey. Councillor Mercy Umey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to follow up, today I speak not just as a councillor, but someone who lived, worked, and raised family in Oxford, in this area for 40 years. I've seen this community grow, face challenges, and stand together like you had all the conversation, the question time today. Like Councillor Adam said, Time Out magazine described Uxbridge Road as a modern Babylon, a vibrant home for many nationalities, and a great place to eat your way around the world. So, Uxbridge Road reflects the very best of our borough's diversity. It's a place where culture mix, family shop, businesses grow, and local economy thrives. It is a home for a vibrant mixture of shops, restaurants, faiths, culture, and historic Shepherd's Bush Market. It is where you find award-winning venues like Bush Theatre, attracting people not just from across the borough, from all over London. But like many high streets across the country, Uxbridge Road has its struggles. The closure of Shepherd's Bush Police Station in Uxbridge Road by Conservative government courts have left people feeling unsafe and less supported. Since then, this administration has introduced a law enforcement team to patrol and protect our streets. So this council welcomed the petition of improvement of Uxbridge Road. This council is committed to working with residents, traders, culture venues, community groups to make Uxbridge Road cleaner, safer, and more vibrant without losing its character, as you heard today from Councillor Vedia. Thank you so much.
An amendment has been submitted for this motion. The amendment has just been circulated by email and will be displayed on screen. I will give members a few minutes to read it. Right, I call upon councillors Pascal Tolbert and Alfonso to move and second the amendment.
Formally seconded.
I call on councillor Pascal Tolbert, followed by councillors Alfonso to speak for the motion, for the opposition.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And I'd like to start by welcoming the new cabinet member to his role. He's in committees he's sat on. He's proven thoughtful and a great eye for detail. We expect good things. The reason we've tabled this amendment is because we're actually taken aback with the rather casual, complacent response that the Labour administration has given on this issue. Treated to rather a lot of imprecise language about uniqueness, about identity, about vibrancy, about diversity. Lots of potentially good things here, but this all represents muddled thinking, and underpinning it, I'm afraid, low expectations. The Uxbridge Road, what do you expect? And perhaps understandably furious and not seeing change, even after 2.5 years of trying to engage with the council to put together a petition. And unfortunately, what we're seeing on Uxbridge Road, a road which I love, such great restaurants, such good venues, it could be so good, but it isn't unique. Across our borough, our fantastic high streets are being blighted by low expectations, turning a blind eye to unacceptable behaviour, scruffy businesses, empty shops, litter, drug use, and the holy trinity of fried chicken shops, vape stores, and second-hand phone dealers. People get quite uncomfortable when it comes to criticising areas. And I suspect some of you already have some attack lines ready and waiting about gentrification, about the nasty party. I get all of that. So I want to tackle it head on. The place we are coming from, and the place so many residents are clearly coming from, is that there is a difference between diversity, a good thing, and criminality, not a good thing. If something is unique, that does not signify whether that uniqueness is good or bad. And it is okay to make value judgments. Explicitly, this is a loud crime and in other words, it is on you. It should be a problem that residents, especially women, don't feel safe, including from groups of men loitering outside cafes. It should be a problem that despite CCTV and policing efforts, drug dealing and drug taking still take place openly on the street, as does littering, public urination, public defecation, often by individuals who are threats to themselves as well as to the community. It should be a problem that Labour think there is no problem. So we are calling for a robust three-point plan. First, make it safe. A zero-tolerance approach to drug use, begging, and antisocial behaviour. Set high expectations. Follow through. Second, dirty word coming up, make it beautiful. We can argue about what beautiful means, but well-enforced, high-quality design guidelines for shop fronts, targeted incentives to businesses making visual improvements to their premises, trees and planting, as has been said. This is all about making an investment in the area. Chase and choose quality. Third, make it fun. Do a full-hearted promotion of the independent stores, cafes, shops and restaurants that add so much value to the community. Get people excited about the genuinely fantastic restaurants, cafes, venues, shops there. Time out on steroids, as it were. Celebrate what's excellent. And as a corollary to that, reject what isn't. We can do better, but we should do that by a ruthless intolerance to what's not good enough. If Labour's best ambition is for managed decline and a few patronising pats on the head, then we're Conservatives, and we have a much more uncompromising message on this. We can do better. We will do better. Work with community, sure, but clean it up. Thank you very much.
Councillor Alfonso.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, the administration's motion fundamentally failed to meet the concerns of hardworking residents and business owners who have been crying out for real action, not more warm words. That is why I wholeheartedly endorse our amendment this evening. Madam Mayor, 2,558 people signed a petition pleading for action. To these residents, it's not just about crime. It's about reclaiming their environment, restoring community pride in where they live, and holding this council to account for the basic standards our neighbourhoods deserve. That phrase, community pride, it means something. It represents one of the most fundamental human aspirations, the desire to belong somewhere meaningful, to contribute to something greater than ourselves. When residents take genuine pride in their neighbourhood, streets become cleaner, neighbours look out for one another, and local businesses thrive through collective support. Because such a thing as community. Madam Mayor, bodies and vague promises to work with stakeholders. They petitioned for concrete action to address the very real problems of crime, antisocial behaviour, and urban decay that plague their high street daily. Yet what do we see in their motion? More bureaucracy and more delay. Let's be clear about what residents actually want. They want to feel safe walking down their own high street. They want to end the persistent antisocial behaviour that drives away customers and makes families reluctant to visit local businesses. The administration motion mentions removing graffiti and deep cleaning pavements. But these are basic council services that the residents already pay for through their council tax. This shouldn't be presented as some generous initiative. It's the bare minimum. And we should expect that from any competent local authority. And it should have been happening. Residents want action, Madam Mayor, not more studies. They want results, not more meetings. They want their council to take ownership of the problems on Uxbridge Road and fix them with the resources and powers already at their disposal. But Madam Mayor, what this ultimately requires is an administration with the vision to believe in what Uxbridge Road could be. The vision to reimagine the status quo with tangible and visible improvements, faster enforcement action, proper maintenance of our public spaces, and support for businesses without burdening them with additional costs that come with bids. Madam Mayor, the people in and around Uxbridge Road deserve better than the Labour administration. They deserve a council that acts decisively rather than one that talks endlessly. The resident-led petition called for action, and the administration this evening have sent them their unambitious response. Our motion rises to their challenge, so I implore the administration, support our motion, show some ambition.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers on the amendment?
There is something about people being desperate and willing to jump on any bandwagon, isn't there? And we heard that from the people who just spoke. You heard what the residents said. There are genuine concerns, and you heard what the administration said. But I'm going to call you out on your blatant hypocrisy in what you have just said. And apart from talking down Uxbridge Road and trying to deter investment, this administration is doing quite the opposite. We've transformed White City. It now has the heart of our economic hub, more growth investment than anywhere else in London, the fastest growing economy in London, £6 billion of growth investment, 13,000 jobs, all people who are coming into the area to shop and enrich Uxbridge Road. But you said the administration is not taking robust action. Well, it is. It's not only is it setting up a bid, not only is it washing the streets, not only is it removing graffiti, not only is it putting more CCTV in, not only is it about to beautify the area with more trees and planting, not only is it going to set up a residents working group to make sure that this always happens, these are robust actions. But some of the things you said are simply hypocritical. You voted against the budget. You voted against the budget that created a law enforcement team because we couldn't get enough policing in Hammersmith and Fulham. You voted against it, and then your deputy leader said, your former deputy leader said he wanted to cancel the law enforcement team. That was an attack on people frightened of crime and a support for criminals. You voted against a budget that offers to put more CCTV in than anywhere else in the United Kingdom, and to put even more in on top of that. That's what you voted against, and you voted against a gangs unit that has specialist approaches to dealing with gangs who are criminalizing our children, enslaving our children, and making crime rife. Yes, it is difficult. Governing is complex, but you simplify it with insults because you are desperate to try and get some traction. Well, the voters are better than that. We will fight you on crime, and we will fight you on your record as an opposition, and we will let voters know about it. And let me just say something else. Begging and antisocial behavior. We are an exemplar on homelessness and begging and antisocial behavior. Where did, go to any society, go to Denmark, go to the United States, go to Britain. Where did all these homeless people come from? Well, after 15 years where you never laid a single criticism on your government, it went through the roof. There are councils with homeless people in every area. Now, we have taken an expensive and very detailed approach to taking people off the street, moving them on, trying to get them into different places. But it is difficult and complex. The reason we are classed as an exemplar is we do it better than most. But there is a tide of homelessness and damage on the streets, and we are trying to deal with it. Now, this administration will sit down with residents who you heard were perfectly reasonable. We are very, very happy that they raised a petition because it allowed us to hear their concerns and to work with them as a working group. We will work with them and we will tackle these things. But what you see here is a desperate bunch of conservatives. Two conservative parties now, the Conservative Party and the Reform Party, chasing the same votes. So what do? They do exactly what their leader does, and they try and rack up fear and scare people instead of getting into the complexity. Now, I tell you, this point in history does not need nonsense like this. Do not talk down one of our finest streets. There are things wrong with it. There are many things, from BT telephone boxes that we struggle to remove, to wires hanging out of shops. But we will work with our residents. We will work with a bid. We will invest in this area, and we will make it better. And that's where you lose.
Sorry, are there any other speakers on the amendment? No? Okay. I put the amendment to the vote. Those in favour? Okay. Those against? Those not voting? Okay. 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 The amendment is lost. Okay. Are there any others? No. Oh, yes. Are there any other speakers on the substantive motion? Councillor Harvey.
Madam Mayor, I welcome the petition, and we've worked very closely with residents for quite a long time now, so it's simply not correct to say that nothing's been done for so long. We've been working, going to resident meetings, working with them and with the police to tackle crime and antisocial behaviour in Uxbridge Road, but also across the whole borough. And you heard what the leader had to say. We have seen crime across London increase by 5%, including issues around drugs and antisocial behaviour. But in our borough, we have seen it not increase the same as across London. It's remained the same. We've seen theft from motor vehicles and theft of motor vehicles decrease, and we've seen burglary go down. We've seen cracking Cracking down on drugs increased the number of offences that police are recording because we are actually tackling it. We're working very closely with the police, meeting with them weekly and monthly to make sure that we can do a robust approach to tackling drugs across our borough, whilst also ensuring that we're working with public health to help who've got drug problems, get them off the streets and tackle the gangs that are dealing in these drugs. We've also seen violence with injury go down by 7%, possession of weapons go down by 6%. So we are working very hard as a council to tackle crime and antisocial behaviour. Our Let's team and the CCTV cameras that we've got, our great network of cameras, have contributed to hundreds of people being arrested in our borough, including on Uxbridge Road, for the crimes that they are committing. And those people have been prosecuted off the back of our cameras and our hard work and the officers in our CCTV hub. We've also worked really closely with residents to make sure that our cameras are in the right locations on Uxbridge Road and Shepherd's Bush so we can get the vital evidence they need to tackle these crimes. So it's simply not true to say that we're not dealing with the drugs, we're not dealing or helping residents with this issue. Our Let's team worked very closely with the police. Our Let's team have done a huge volume of patrols across the year, over 107,000 investigations and patrols that they've carried out. And in the last 2 months alone, they've carried out just under 2,500 patrols around the Uxbridge Road area, really tackling the issues that are coming up there. So I just want to sort of conclude by saying there is a huge amount of work being done by our Let's team, by our gangs unit. The council is committed to working with residents across the borough. We're seeing that the action that they're doing is stopping people from carrying out muggings and selling drugs. We've had the Let's team ensure that people have been stopped and the police have come and arrested them for huge bags of drugs that they found on the person. And we're working in partnership with our community safety partnership with different organisations across the borough to try and make our borough as safe as possible. And we will continue to do that and continue to fight the crime. Thank you.
I now call on Councillor Chauvet-Verdier to sum up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to start my speech by sort of expressing how uncomfortable I am at some of the things that have been said. Comparing any street, any city to Saigon, where does that come from? I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean they're savages? Does that mean, you know, what does that? The undertones are really, really uncomfortable. So what you've been very good at today was sort of again talking the people down. It's Kabul, it's Baghdad, it's horrible, and it's you know, what's the difference between this side of the room and my side of the room? I've been in a job 49 days. I've already met with all the residents. What have you done in 3 years about the Uxbridge Road? Well, it's like you can talk over me. I'll talk forever if I can. I don't care. It doesn't impress me. I mean, it's infuriating. So let's address point by point what's been said. You have on this side of the room people who don't believe in the future of our community, and you've heard people here who have given you specific examples of what they're proud of. Now let's talk about some of the things you've talked about. Shepherd's Bush Market. How do we think they voted about Shepherd's Bush Market? They talked about the Greens. Well, they voted with the Greens, who came to protest us against the regeneration of Shepherd's Bush Market. It's a key part of our efforts. That's not from 6 months ago. That's from years before. You were against it. So you're talking about things, but really, you're the main obstacle. I'm going to read something to you that came from, this is a genuine email, from one of the people who we're going to put a question tonight, fellow Normans. I'll let you figure out their name. A lot has changed since the surveys in the 2016 plan. Brexit, Boris Johnson, and its doubling of immigration to 1.4 million people a year. The COVID pandemic, not you. But what is the key turning point in this? I'll read exactly what they say. Michael Gove's September 2020 removal of residents' rights to object to A3, A5 food and drink use changes. It's you. You're always the problem. You call for the dissolution of the LET, you weaken council powers, you talk communities down. What do? We stand up for them. We raise our voices in support of them. We are using inclusive language. We're not calling former colonies. What the hell? That's just so awkward for me as a migrant. That's really, really...
Enough.
Look, it's
I've said
you're just further
enough.
embarrassing yourself, really. I would really be ashamed if I were you. In summary, what are we doing? We're meeting with people, we're tackling the root problems, we're working with them on specific things. I think it's been said, people are against the BID. We had a question about this, and they were saying they were looking forward to it. I mean, you're so disconnected. Look, I'm proud of being in this group. You're not going to talk me down, and you're not going to make me ashamed of anything. I'm proud of being in a group that stands up for people. I'm proud of all the local councillors who've actually put their skin in the game. Lots of people working on very, very difficult things. But we will get there. We will get there without you, as we've always done. Do not pretend that you're interested in the area. You've never seen there. You've never done anything there. You're not here. You're not representing the residents. They haven't chosen you. They won't choose you again. But please, 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 I ask you one thing. Stop the divisive language. Stop the divisive language. Do not compare our communities to somewhere else with the undertone that somewhere else is an absolute asshole. That's inappropriate. Thank you.
Question. Is the motion agreed? I gathered that. I'll put the motion to the vote then. Okay. Those in favour? Lovely. Okay. Those against? Those not voting? Okay. 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 I hereby announce that the outcome of the voting, the motion is the motion as amended is carried. That wasn't me. I was going to say that's not. Okay, moving on. Right, I've declared the motion carried. Okay, so special motion number one, celebrating the 150th anniversary of the Macbeth Centre. Okay, I call upon councillors Graham and Jones to move and second.
Move. I formally move the motion.
Formally seconded.
I call on councillor Graham and Jones to speak for the administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And can I just start by congratulating you on becoming our new mayor? I wish you all the best in your new role. Education is the most important and powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. These words by Nelson Mandela resonate deeply today as we celebrate 150th anniversary of Macbeth Centre. For a century and a half, this institution has stood as a beacon of learning, personal development, community engagement, enriching the lives of countless residents of Hammersmith, Fulham. The journey of Macbeth Centre began in 1875 when it was originally founded as a Waterloo school, in an era when education was not given for all. Reverend Macbeth championed education and the cause for the free schooling, ensuring that children, regardless of their background, had access to learning. His dedication to education and community welfare was so profound that following his passing, Waterloo was named Macbeth Street in his honor. Throughout its history, the centre has withstood the trials of time, including devastation of World War II. Despite the surrounding destruction, the school remains standing, a testament to its resilience, enduring significance in the borough. In 1991, a new chapter began when the Inner London Education Authority inaugurated the site as Adult Education Centre. This transformation marked the beginning of the Macbeth Centre as we know today. A hub for lifelong learning, skills development, and community engagement. The centre remains dedicated to its founding principle to serve as a place of learning for all. In October 2024, the centre reached another milestone with completion of its roof renovation, ensuring that historic building will continue to provide education for generations to come. Beyond the structural improvement, the project became a community initiative when our special education needs learners adding a personal touch by painting the underside of the roof tiles before installation. The symbolic act reinforced our commitment to inclusivity and community-driven development. For over 30 years, Macbeth Centre has been instrumental in delivering adult education, empowering residents with knowledge and skills necessary to navigate rapidly evolving job market. Today, under the banner of Hammersmith Fulham Adult Learning Services, the centre plays a pivotal role in supporting our borough's economic growth by aligning its programs with our industrial strategy, Upstream London. Adult Learning Services is extremely important to innovation, future growth, and it's actively contributing to the wider Hammersmith Fulham industrial strategy. By developing adult joint skills STEM program in collaboration with the Imperial College and the businesses. This initiative will create pathways for the residents to enter fields in science, technology, engineering, maths, medicine, media, and ensuring that our workforce is prepared for the industries of future. We're excited about the upcoming launch of our new skills center at City. This state-of-the-art facility, developed in partnership with national education charity ARC, will serve as transformative adult community education center. With an integrated employment hub, affordable housing, and improved community facilities, this 150 million investment is a testament to our dedication to inclusive talent development and economic empowerment. The Macbeth Centre's 150th years is one of the resilience, transformation, and unwavering commitment to education. As we look to the future, the Council reaffirms our promise to continue fostering learning opportunities, bridging skill gaps, and creating pathways to employment for all residents. Hammersmith Fulham Industrial Strategy, Upstream London, and our new skill hub at Ad City will ensure that every individual has access to the tools they need to succeed. Thanks to everyone who have been the part of this incredible journey. Once again, congratulations to Macbeth Centre on 150th years of learning, growth, and community spirit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Cohen has said many things, but I want to add both my congratulations to 150 years of the old Waterloo School, the Macbeth Centre, and also to reflect on some of those points about where this administration is in relation to the core role of Macbeth in adult education. I was struck, if you go into the Macbeth Centre, there's a plaque I think on the right, of which if you look on the council's website, there's also a newspaper cutting which has their later Lord Clive Soley standing with Joan Caruana opening the centre in 1991. And it's a Labour politicians making a statement about the significance through the Inner London Community Adult Education Initiative about the importance of reskilling adults and the role that plays in ensuring their future and for the residents of this borough. Now, if you cast your mind back, if you're old enough, to the world in which that adult education centre opened in the early 1990s, and I remember this in an earlier part of my life, the discussion at the time was about the many challenges that could come out of the early 80s and the early 90s recession. And one of the big debates in adult education and in lifelong learning was the massive challenge of reskilling, where there'd been significant job losses in this borough and across the country in those recessions. The world has moved on considerably, but that initiative by a Labour administration, Labour-led politicians to invest in adult education is a symbolic and tremendously impactful initiative. that changed the lives of residents of this borough and has been changing those lives for many years since. Lifelong learning is a word often used and sometimes unsung, but is tremendously important. We spend much time, of course, rightly talking about the education of our young people, but for those who face changing work circumstances later in life, or the changing challenges of life generally in terms of employment, adult education is a lifeline, and lifelong learning is one of the joys of actually continuing to learn throughout life. However, it is not always prioritised by local authorities or other agencies, and it's not always easy to achieve. One of the things I think that is most important that has just been said is the role that the Macbeth Centre will play in the current challenge that is very different to the job markets of the 1990s. You will probably have read about in the press, there seem to be many people who are happy to tell you that artificial intelligence and robotics and other things are going to remove many jobs. They are certainly going to change the nature of jobs that many people have currently in our borough. There is a tremendously important role through our industrial strategy that Councillor Kayam has pointed to for the Macbeth, and our commitment to reskill and enable people to find new jobs in a very dynamic employment market at the moment. So in many ways, in terms of where we are in our groundbreaking industrial strategy, in terms of including everybody in this borough in the future economic prosperity from that inward investment the leader was talking about, there is a very significant role for Macbeth and for adult education in rising to that challenge. And I think that is an important thing to emphasise to our residents, who, some of whom, and some of my constituents in my ward, are understandably apprehensive in an environment where they're being told that many jobs are going to change. So Macbeth is very much at the centre of our skills approach within upstream, and is a key mechanism by which we will include the residents of this borough in the economic changes that are currently going on in this economy and across the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I've been informed that Councillors Nemo, Quigley, Harvey and Alford would also like to speak. Councillor Nemo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a real honour to speak in favour of this motion marking 150 years of the Macbeth Centre, a cornerstone of Hammersmith Broad and a symbol of what education can achieve. A quick journey through the past, the present and the future of the Macbeth Centre, and also, I hope you don't mind, a few Shakespeare quotes woven in. Let me start with the past. 150 years ago, Hammersmith was changing fast. It was no longer just a quiet riverside village, it was becoming the busy urban centre that we know today. The townhouses we walked past were just being built. Life was close-knit and local. It was in this moment of transformation that the Macbeth Centre was founded, to meet the needs of a growing, evolving community. Its roots go back to the 1870 Elementary Education Act, which made free state education a reality. Before that, learning was reserved for the privileged few, the wealthy who could afford tutors, while working class children were often sent to the factory floor. In 1875, the centre opened as the Waterloo Street School, as we heard earlier, and not without resistance. Free education meant fewer child labourers, and some local businessmen weren't happy. They might have well have said, fair is foul and foul is fair. But the demand was clear. The school filled up fast. By 1896, an annex was built to keep up with the number of students. Through the decades, the centre stood firm, even enduring the dark days of war. In the Blitz, it was damaged but not destroyed. Double, toil and trouble may have echoed in the streets, but like its namesake, the centre refused to fade into oblivion. Now, the present. In 1991, the building was reborn, this time as a hub for adult education, and what a renaissance it's been. Today, the Macbeth Centre offers over 450 courses, from English language skills to training in vital sectors like teaching and healthcare. It's a place where people find their voice, build careers, and start again. A place where where many come to realise what's done cannot be undone, but the future is theirs to shape. And yes, one for the trivia lovers. It was even a Doctor Who filming location. In 2023, the Sixth Doctor himself, Colin Baker, returned to the art room for a reenactment, a little time travel in Hammersmith. But beyond the trivia, beyond the classrooms, what really makes the Rec Centre special is its ethos. That same spirit that drove its founding 150 years ago still guides it today. The education should be for everyone, not just the privileged few. Lastly, the future. The founding vision lives on in the creation of the Pathway Bond, part of the Upstream London industrial strategy. The bond captures the values of the Macbeth Centre and projects them forward, creating life-changing opportunities for our young people in the industries of tomorrow, especially in the fields of STEM cubed. The council has formed groundbreaking partnerships with European cities, giving Hammersmith and Fulham's young people the chance to travel and learn. This is something no other council has done, meaning young people get opportunities they simply wouldn't have if they lived anywhere else. The values of the Macbeth Centre can also be found in HNF's Ed City, which Councillor Kyon spoke to earlier. The unique partnership between ARC and the council in White City has seen the opening of a new primary school, an adult education centre, and the West Youth Zone. Just next week, in fact, there'll be a market warming breakfast for prospective applicants for the Ed City STEM 3 skills programme. Mayor, our unique approach to giving young people opportunities they wouldn't have otherwise is underway, and it is working. All this means that children in our borough will have doors open to careers they will never have imagined otherwise, just as the Macbeth Centre did to those children 150 years ago. In 1875, widening access to education was radical. In 2025, it's essential. And in the years ahead, Hammersmith and Fulham will keep this founding ethos alive. Let me end with this. The Macbeth Centre is more than bricks and mortar. It's a living legacy to the radical idea that education should be open to all. It reminds us that no matter who you are or where you're from, you can always make a life here in Hammersmith and Fulham. So here's to the next 150 years, and to a borough that believes in the power of learning to change lives. Thank you.
Answer quickly. Councillor Quigley. There we go.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. And before I begin reading my scribbles, congratulations. I hope you're enjoying the chair. I've been looking you up. Saw you were rather busy at the weekend at, up in Parsons Green. Apparently, I ain't got rather friendly with you. Yes. So congratulations on that. I'd also like to welcome Councillor Liam. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your surname. And people will know me from the past. I'm not sometimes not good at that, but welcome. Now, I've done this on the spur of the moment. I've literally got no notes. I am going to wing it. I'm speaking because literally I'm sitting beside my teammate and we represent Hammersmith Broadway, where the Macbeth Centre is placed in. I also grew up in Hammersmith Broadway. I also went to the Macbeth Centre. I had some of the lessons there. Not sure it did me any good. I'm still trying to practice my computer skills, but you know, we've got AI nowadays, so wow, I'm amazed. Anyway, Macbeth is 150 years old. It's a fabulous building. I was lucky enough last year to take a tour around it. And I want to give my thanks to Eamon, the assistant director, because he came around with me and he was explaining all the different classes they had on offer. They had cookery, they had bead making, they had exercise, which I didn't actually take part in, but people were in there. They had art, they had lots of children because I attended the open day. This year, the open day takes place on Saturday, I think the 12th, if I've got that information correctly. I hope I have. I'm so proud, actually, because, as I said before, I live in the wards. I've used the centre. I would absolutely recommend anybody go to the open day, see what's on offer. It is a fabulous centre. They have a brand new roof. Now, when I went there last year, they were just putting it in, this roof, and Eamon was talking about this roof because it was going to be fabulous. Me, I didn't know. I'm not. What do I know about roofs? But anyway, it's there now. A lot of money spent on it, and apparently it meets our climate policy. So well done. I'd also like to say that Hammersmith and Fulham has last year, some of you might remember, because people spoke a lot about it. We did quite well with our education, with Ofsted, and I think it's a great achievement to say that we have an adult learning centre. We like to encourage people to continue on when they leave school. We had a youth council a little while ago speaking up. They're not leaders of tomorrow. They're leaders of now. We have to have young people like them encouraging younger people to take part. So I do not believe in youth, young people are leaders of tomorrow. They are leaders of today. It's really important to recognise that. It's also important to also make education inclusive, accessible, and co-produced. Listen to the young people. They have vision going forward. And I'm going to shut up now. My last words is, happy birthday, Macbeth. And hopefully we'll see you on your, well, I won't be around, but your 303rd birthday. Is that the right way to say it? Thank you.
Councillor Harvey.
Madam Mayor, it's really wonderful that we could be here tonight and celebrate the Macbeth Centre in 150 years. So it's a huge congratulations to them and to everyone that's currently working there and all the people that came before them. As somebody that benefited from adult education, going back to study as a young single parent in the 90s, it opened a lot of doors for me and it made my life very different to what it could have been. So it feels important that we are recognising it because it is there to make a difference to so many people's lives, but not only does, but their families and their friends as well. Through my work in this role as cabinet member, we've worked very closely with the Macbeth Centre. We've helping refugees learning English as a second language, and that has really benefited and helped build up their confidence and help them to settle into our community. Also, through my work with the cost of living, the Macbeth Centre have delivered training on money advice to residents across the borough to help them so they can better manage the financial shocks that they've experienced and to manage their budgets and just learn to maximise where they can very tight and difficult budgets and difficult situations. So really, I just wanted to say, again, congratulations to the Macbeth Centre. I've learned so much this evening from my colleagues and some of the things, especially the Shakespeare quotes. And just to say that, Councillor Nemo said we're a borough that believes in the power of learning to change lives. And I just wanted to echo that because it is just so true. It's changed mine. And I know it's changed thousands of residents in our borough through adult education. So thank you.
Councillor Alford.
Madam Mayor, I too would like to congratulate the Macbeth Centre on its 150 years. I'd also like to declare that as a long-standing resident, I've also been a long-standing attendee at the centre. I've attended many courses and to this date, I still do. It offers a wide range of activities. Mine are always on the practical side for a wide range of residents with their differing interests. And it's an excellent institution, and I wish it every prosperity. But I'm now going to raise a concern. I attend, and there are various different workshops that are run, and because it seems to be run by people, for people, we're treated in a different way. Always our fees are going up. Now, I know this council wants to be prudently solvent and financially prudent and all the things it says. But what you're doing with people like, and I'm not just me, but there are lots of other courses who have workshops, you are pricing us out of being there because you put it up and you now, in particular my course, I will speak, the people are saying, is it worth going to Macbeth? Now, you don't want to lose people. You want people to be engaged. And I am raising publicly, and I have declared an interest, so I don't think I'm going to get any trouble from anybody. Do think what you're doing when you're dealing with people who run workshops. They are people who contribute, but they also want to be involved. They want to contribute to people. And it's a way of engaging and bringing people in who perhaps wouldn't necessarily go to a tutored class, but where they could talk with other people and not feel inhibited. So I would say, once again, I congratulate Macbeth, but please think about people like me, well, not me, but people who go to workshops who are being disencouraged to go with further education. Thank you.
I now call on Councillor Graham to sum up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, if I could just quickly respond to that. From what I checked last time, our fees been frozen for the past 10 years. Either it has been lowest in London or been frozen. I'll further clarify, but I can assure you that that's been frozen or the lowest in London. Now, to conclude, as we mark 105th years of the Macbeth Centre unwavering dedication to education and empowerment, we're reminded that legacy is not only measured by history, but by how we shape the future. The future is already made here through the upstream pathway bond, an innovative partnership that is already live, already changing lives, already aligning our local economy with values we stand for. This initiative brings together forward-thinking businesses who are committed to delivering jobs, good jobs, fair wages, and the future skills the community needs. Those who are signing up to the Pathway Bond, more than words, they offer real opportunities, training, mentorship, career pathways that help residents move into meaningful work and thriving industries. Together, we are building a borough where talent is recognized, where every resident has a chance to grow, where the economy works for everyone. The Macbeth Centre and its legacy of inclusion and lifelong learning remains at the heart of this mission. And with the Pathway Bond, we're deepening that legacy, ensuring that education connects directly to opportunity and that no door remains closed to those the will to walk through it. Let us celebrate the past 150 years with pride and build on our bold step as we shape the future with purpose. Thank you. And once again, congratulations to Macbeth Centre on a century and a half of changing lives.
Thank you very much. Is the motion agreed? Agreed. Okay. Moving. Sorry, I declare the motion carried. Sorry, I apologise. Okay, moving on to special motion number 2, free breakfast for primary school children. I call on Councillor Suslis and Daly to move and second.
Formally moved.
Formally seconded.
Right. I call on Councillor Suslis and Daly to speak for the administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and may I begin by congratulating you on your new role. The robes look great on you. I'm really proud to be moving this motion on behalf of the administration and this flagship policy for our council. We all come into politics to make a difference, and there's no bigger difference that we can make than helping children thrive in learning in their daily lives. And this flagship policy that we've had for now 7 years has made a difference to the lives of countless children across the borough. And we know the alternative because we sadly see it across the country, where 18% of parents have to skip meals for themselves so that their children can have a meal. And 2.8 million children have to live in households with food insecurity. But there is an alternative, and we have seen it in Hammersmith and Fulham. Since 2018, we've had more than 2 million meals served at breakfast in schools. And that is not just cost of living support that is providing to families, which means that they do not have to worry about providing for children, but it also means that our children and young people can thrive. They can start the day with a belly full of breakfast, they can learn, they can socialize. It's always our policy here that we want to give the best opportunity to our children and to young people, and to make Hammersmith and Fulham the best place for anyone to live, especially our children. And we're particularly proud that this Labour government has seen the success that we have here and has seen the problems across the country and has essentially copied this policy, rolling it out across the country. I remember when they released a list of the schools that would be the first to introduce this policy across the country. First thing I did to check Hammersmith and Fulham, no hits, what is happening? And then, of course, it hit me. We already have it here. That's what they're doing. And it was good to see it in other places nearby, to see it in Charleston, to see it in Kensington, but also good to see that there were no hits for Hammersmith and Fulham. It is really good. Imitation is the best form of flattery, and we are really flattered. But of course, it's not the only thing that we are doing here. We know that children are not just a stomach that growl when they're hungry. They're hungry for the opportunity to thrive, and they're hungry for dignity. So this is part of a broader package that we're giving to children to make this the best place for them to grow up in. So we have, of course, the family hubs, which now also the Labour government seems to be rolling out across the country. We have grants to cut the cost of school uniforms for children, which is now also sort of being taken up by the government, which is introducing a limit to the amount of branded items that schools can have. But even going beyond that, we're doing such groundbreaking things. We've heard about so many. We heard, of course, about our youth council and the amazing things they're doing, how representative they are of the borough, and how they want to go further and further and speak to as many young people as possible. We have our award-winning gangs unit, which is making sure that children do not fall victims to crime and do not fall into crime themselves. We have our council tax exemption for foster carers and care leavers. We've also introduced, I'm trying to remember the policies. Well, we also have West Youth Zone. My colleague Trehi would be very happy that I mentioned this. And of course, she's not here. Oh, there she is. You should be happy. The West Youth Zone and Ed City, as so many councillors talk about. This is a full menu of things that this administration is doing and has been doing for years to make this the best place for children. And of course, the innovative, groundbreaking industrial strategy with the new upstream pathway bond that will transform the lives of so many children and young people across the borough. This is the difference that a Labour council makes. This is the difference that Hammersmith and Fulham makes, and a difference an extraordinary council makes. And all my colleagues should be proud, as I hope you will be too. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Daly.
Thank you, Mayor. I used to work for an American company, and I had a desk that was closest to the boardroom for dubious honour. And I got to watch the American directors, visitors come and go with the incredibly long job titles. And one day I was sat at my desk and two of them came out of the boardroom after a particularly long meeting. One of them, as just they were passing the desk, said to the other one, I have to, American accent, sorry. I have to remember that just because they've got that accent doesn't make them smarter. But I thought it was a real sage observation. So let me expand. Just because someone comes from money, because their parents were professionals, because they went to private school, because they grew up in a safe, secure home, does not make them any smarter, more deserving. It certainly doesn't make them more trustworthy or more valuable. We know this. The foundations of social democracy are justice and fairness. At its heart is a belief that every person, regardless of background, deserves equally respect, dignity, and opportunity. Liberté, égalité, fraternité, as some might say. We are a diverse borough, but at our core, we are a community that values progress, inclusion, and social justice. Together, we embody the spirit of social democracy, and we understand one fundamental truth: we share a fate. For any of us to truly succeed, all of us must have the chance to succeed. That means building a strong civil society where people have access to the essentials: affordable housing, timely healthcare, secure work, quality education, and good food on the table. It means recognizing that some people face barriers they did not build, barriers rooted in inequality, in poverty, and a lack of opportunity. And if we're not working to lift these people up out of that, what are we even doing? Every child, every parent, every worker deserves a fair shot at a good life. But let's be honest, you can't learn if you're hungry. You can't work if you can't afford childcare. These aren't extras. These are essentials. It helps no one when parents have to choose between working enough hours to survive and being able to be there for their children. And it helps no one when children start school hungry and struggle to focus. And here in Hammersmith and Fulham, we made a different choice. We chose to support families. For the past 7 years, we provided free breakfast for every primary age child in our schools. And now that local policy, born right here in our borough, is being rolled out nationally. Free breakfast and early morning childcare will soon be available to every child in England. This is what progressive leadership looks like. This is what happens when we put fairness, dignity, and opportunity at the heart of public policy. This is what it means to be a social democrat. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've been informed Councillor Mercy Ume, Pasco Talbert, and Afzal Khan also wish to speak.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I forgot to wish you all the best in your new role, so I'm doing it right now. I welcome and strongly support the new Labour government's plans to provide free school breakfast for all primary school children across the country. Here in Hammersmith and Fulham, we are the pioneers for free school breakfast for all children of all primary school children in our borough. Food should be a given right for all our society, just like the air we breathe. Free school breakfast tackles child hunger, boosts concentration, attendance, and gives every child a fair start to their school day, no matter their backgrounds. As a counselor, I've had families who attend my surgery tell me how hard it was for them to feed their children before they went to school. I remember visiting a family in my ward who told me that they only had an apple for the day. Here in Hammersmith and Fulham, we know the difference free school breakfast can make. In 2018, this administration became the first borough in the country to introduce free school breakfast for primary schools. And since then, we have seen the impact. Children arrive healthier, calmer, ready to learn. Families, especially those facing hardship, had less worry. Free school breakfast, more than just food. It is about dignity, equality, opportunity for every child. It puts Labour values into action, and it works. We welcome this national rollout, and we are proud that Hammersmith and Fulham helped lead the way. That this council continues to its commitment, supporting children, supporting families, and ensuring that no child starts the day hungry. Thank you all.
Thank you. Councillor Pascal Chabert.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I wanted to speak on this motion because I welcome very many of its sentiments. There is a misleading word in it, and it's important to be clear in our communications, not least as we have a lead minister whose job it is, a lead member whose job it is to oversee such things. That word, of course, is free. It is right in one sense, it is free at the point of use, but a more accurate description is taxpayer funded. And this might seem like a bit of a debating society point to make, and probably a really unpopular point to make. But it is important, I think, because it reflects the views we have of the world. And for clarity, I am referring to policy of making free school breakfasts universal and not targeted just towards the poorest families. So let me be clear, these meals are paid for. A choice has been made by politicians that this is the best use of money. There are things that we as a nation, as a council, are not doing because we are doing this. We may, on balance, and I think we will, on balance, make the judgment that this is the right choice. But we need to be aware that, as with all choices, there are trade-offs involved. And this isn't just about the allocation of taxpayers' money, it's about the second-order impacts of government intervention and the activities encouraged and discouraged. For many years, I was a trustee of a food charity whose mission was to provide healthy food for some of the most vulnerable families, initially in London and now across the UK, by providing vouchers for fresh fruit and vegetables from market stalls. They also put on cooking classes and put on events, allowing young families to get to know each other. Well before I was a councillor, I was delighted to see Alexandra Rose, the name of the charity, active at the market on North End Road. And it's still great to be out there shopping and seeing families exchanging these vouchers for nutritious and healthy food. I'm delighted, actually, that this is a charity being funded by Hammersmith and Fulham. So I am and will continue to be a big fan of making sure young people are fed and fed well. But it's possibly because of this that I have some slight doubts about the idea that the more money you throw at a problem, the more you solve. In my view, it's helpful, rather than just pat ourselves on the back, to be really clear-headed about what we are trying to achieve and how we constantly evaluate our activities. What's the right balance, for instance, between treating symptoms and fixing underlying causes? How do we manage expectations, risks, cliff edges? Are we properly overseeing implementation? Are we teaching the right habits for the long term as well? My colleague, Councillor Asal Khan, has seen the system operating firsthand and has some fascinating insights on how it works in practice. There is also, and I say this as gently as possible, but there is a point about fairness. Our borough, as we know, all of us have people who are terribly financially vulnerable, and also people who are extremely well off. Most are somewhere in between. We are saying that part of the taxes paid by a household on 50,000 a year should provide breakfast for the children of the household on 500,000 a year. And I absolutely get the argument that you want to remove the stigma of free school meals. I also know that we are in a fiscal situation where we do not have enough money to do all of the things we want. If this policy means that other families who most critically need support, such as those with children with special educational needs who face cuts this autumn, are not receiving that support, is that still, in the spirit of social justice, the right policy to pursue? I wish the administration well in its efforts to tackle food poverty, and for clarity, we will be voting for this motion. I'm really conscious of the motto, don't let the best be the enemy of the good. But neither should we fall into the trap of confusing activity with real achievement, especially when there's a real risk of running out of other people's money. Thank you very much.
Councillor Afzal Khan.
Madam Mayor, as the Conservative spokesperson for children and education and as a teacher myself, I see every day the profound impact that community programs and local development can have on our youth. I know firsthand how vital it is that no child goes hungry at school. Free school meals are indeed a lifeline for many families, and I commend the principle behind expanding this provision. Any measure that aims to ensure our children are healthy, nourished, and ready to learn deserves our consideration and indeed our support. However, as responsible custodians of public funds and children's future, we must interrogate the practical realities the trade-offs, and the broader context in which such policies are delivered. My concerns and those of my colleagues revolve around wastage and the efficiency of delivery. We must ensure that this vital provision reaches those who truly need it, without creating unnecessary expenditure or administrative burdens on our already stretched schools. Madam Mayor, I'm a governor at a local school. I teach at yet another school, and I trained at another local school, and have a vast network of friends and colleagues in the local teaching community. And I can honestly tell you that the schools are extremely unhappy with the Labour government. While we sit here and applaud this initiative, the Labour government is simultaneously pulling the rug from under our schools by cutting vital support. Across our borough, head teachers and school leaders are being asked to absorb unfunded pay rises, leaving senior leadership teams with no option but to cut essential enrichment programs, reduce vital support staff, and make decisions that actively work against teacher retention and student welfare. Our schools are battling immense financial pressure, and we are having to compromise on the very provisions that make a real difference to a child's educational journey and well-being. Essential grants like the Local Needs Fund and the Trust Capacity Fund have been slashed. Enrichment activities for disadvantaged and SEND pupils are being cut back. Schools are having to make impossible decisions, choosing between keeping a teaching assistant or running a homework club for the disadvantaged children. So yes, Madam Mayor, free school meals are good, but they are not free. They come at a cost, and without the right safeguards, the cost will be borne by schools themselves, the teaching community, and the disadvantaged and SEND pupils. I urge the Labour government to ensure that this policy is targeted to those most in need, and it's protected against abuse. We must avoid blanket provisions that generate waste or deliver subsidized lunches to households that do not require help, while SEND pupils, refugee children, and care leavers face growing gaps in support. We must ensure that the well-being of our children is not a political slogan, but a concrete commitment backed by a sustainable and ring-fenced funding across the board. Our children's education should not be tied to unpredictable real estate deals or subject to nebulous budget commitments that lack clear figures and desired outcomes. If we are to deliver on the promise of equity, let's ensure the policy strengthens, not weakens, the overall support ecosystem for children. So I welcome the sentiment of this motion and ask the administration to call upon the Labour government for vigilance, fiscal clarity, and a deeper commitment to the full picture of educational need. Thank you.
Thank you. I now call... Oh, no speaker.
Look, I'd just like to thank the Conservative opposition for adding some clarity to this area of policy and for, again, providing a clear red line of difference between what we stand for on this side and what they stand for on that side. This is indeed public money, and we on this side believe that public money could be deployed better if it follows the evidence. So I would encourage all of you, which I cannot get in a 5-minute speech, to look at the evidence of what the benefits are of universal free breakfast and of many other initiatives. And the challenges, not least the challenge of the bureaucracy and the cost of some of the points that the Conservatives were talking about, of trying to separate that out. You know, I do resent the attacks on the Labour government. This is the first time in my now long lifetime that we've inherited a broken economy, a broken public services and broken public finances. And that's the situation that this government finds itself in. But we're not talking about this government, we're talking about this administration. And the evidence is very much that universal free breakfast makes a difference. That's not just why we did it. We also funded the Nourish Hub. We also gave hundreds of thousands of pounds to the food banks. We also introduced free breakfast and free lunches in some of our poorest schools. This administration said, we will act to the urgency. Why did we do that? Because that disastrous human being of a Prime Minister, David Cameron, managed to turn around almost a decades of drop in child poverty and make it start to go up again before he sabotaged the country with his ridiculous referendum. Now, let's be very clear. I want to pay tribute to Mercy May. Mercy May gave a speech. She told that story when we were in opposition. And it's a very moving story. And we said if we had the money, we would act ruthlessly to chase poverty, remove the stigma, and make sure no child went to school in hunger. And the story that you told back then affected all of us in the Labour group. It was a major part of our manifesto development when we sat going through the former Conservative administration's finances and looking what we could do to make that difference. And I think in Mercy May, what you see is very clearly that one voice can change. When we go into politics, one voice can change the sentiments of a group. And because we as a group then change the policy here, then we as a group change the policy of a borough. And that borough, with the success and the studies of what free breakfast does for children, how it removes the stigma, how it puts every child on the right path for learning and positivity. That Sadiq Khan then copied our policy, and that voice then meant that you could change a city. And because of the success of that and the cost efficiency of it and the value for money of it, but also the kindness, that meant when Labour was putting together its national policy, despite the damage done by the Conservatives, that meant that they phoned us and said, how are you doing this free breakfast? And we told them, and they did it. Now that means that kids in Wigan, kids in Stockport, kids in all over our country, as well as here in Hammersmith and Fulham, are having free breakfast as a standard. It sets a contract with the citizen that we will step in and make every child have a possibility of a good life, not just a few. And that's what means testing often does, as we saw with that ridiculous man, David Cameron. Now, Mercy May starts with one voice. She changes the borough, which changes the city, which changes our country. Our mission has always been to try and change the world, beginning with our bit of West London. It started with Mercy May. Now it's national policy, and I am proud that we've done it here, and I'm grateful to this Labour group for backing it. And we will fight you every single time you try and take money out of children, you try and take food out of children's mouths. That's all I've got to say to you.
I now call on Councillor Sourceless to sum up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief for once because the leader has spoken so eloquently on this. We had wastage, efficiency of delivery, unnecessary expenditure, administrative burdens, vigilance, and fiscal clarity. If the Conservatives run Hammersmith and Fulham, this would be the first words a baby would utter. That's what they would want. It wouldn't be breakfast. We've heard that breakfast come at a cost. Well, I challenge you to go out. We have the elections next year, less than 10 months away. Go out and tell this to people on the doors. It's a shame. I'm really sad today that I'm no longer the agent because you've just written all of our leaflets. I really hope that you will vote against this motion for us, but for the children of this borough, for the children of this city, and for the children of this country. I really hope you support this. I really hope you drop the act, and I really hope you back children. Thank you.
Is the motion agreed? Agreed. I declare the motion carried. Moving on now to special motion number 3, Hammersmith and Fulham among the best in the country on action to fight climate change. I call on Councillors Harcourt and Trahey to move and second.
Formally moved.
Formally seconded.
I call on Councillors Harcourt and Trahey to speak for the administration.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You know, it's not the first time that I've said that climate change is probably the most important issue affecting this planet. And it's something that's worth repeating, and it's worth reminding ourselves of the devastating impacts the changes can bring. We've heard today flash floods in Texas have left over 109 people dead, with a further 161 still missing. The Acropolis in Athens has been closed as temperatures rise above 40 degrees centigrade, with the attendant risk to health and even death. We've just had the warmest June on record for England. We've had heat waves in June, with a third due to start tomorrow, and the Met Office predicting temperatures exceeding 40 degrees in the future. The Standard, that's the newspaper, stated that the recent heat waves have caused 263 deaths across London, with 171 directly attributable to climate change. These heat waves, accompanied by the driest spring on record, are having a disastrous effect on the yield of crops being grown and the sustainability of our food supply. And that's why tackling climate change is such a priority, and why this borough has placed such an emphasis on dealing with climate change. I am really proud that the work and effort that Hammersmith and Fulham has put into dealing with climate change has been recognised in the recently published climate emergency scorecards, where we came second in the UK, just 1 percentage point behind the leading council. This has been no easy task, with the assessment consisting of 93 questions across 7 different sections, and we're up against the other 391 authorities that were assessed. We've increased our score in every category since the last scorecards in 2023, with a final score of 70%. Now, I really want to emphasise the significance of this result. It clearly shows we're one of the leading councils in this field. For comparison's sake, the average score nationally was 41% and 50% average for London. So I really need to record my deepest thanks to the climate team, the climate commissioners and staff across the council for all the commitment, hard work and effort that's gone into this achievement. And I don't want to forget the input from the other council departments who recognise that tackling climate change is a cross-council issue, and that working as a team to deliver on climate change is absolutely essential. Now, let me just give you a few examples of what we've been doing. Retrofitting properties in Franklin Square to passive house standards, new builds at Hartop and Lannoy, Lily Road and Farm Lane all meet the passive house standard. Innovation, such as our green investment that has raised over 2.5 million, more than any other council, to pay for green projects across the borough. An example is removing 1,700 square metres of concrete in Eelbrook Common and replacing it with a green haven. We've used the money for cycle hangers across the borough and other green projects. The Civic Campus is one of the most innovative heat networks, which taps heat from the aquifer, and also note the work they were doing developing other heat networks across the borough. But let's not lose sight of the other benefits of the work we're doing and the links to the green economy. The Green Innovator Project invites individuals and businesses in the borough to develop ideas. Workshops and support are provided to pitch stage with a chance to win £3,000. And this directly links into our Upstream London strategy. Finally, I'd like to finish with some high points from our recent Climate Action Week. I really enjoyed the climate champions from Old Oak Primary School I really enjoyed joining the climate change champions from Old Oak Primary School on a nature walk on Wormwood Scrubs. I was super impressed by the students from St John's Primary in Walham Green with their refillable natural cosmetics, who exemplified the sort of enthusiasm that is being generated across our borough. They wouldn't let me leave until I bought a container. So anyway, nice stuff it is too. One questioner, final point, one questioner at the Climate Summit summed it up. She said she worked with a number of boroughs across England, but that Hammersmith and Fulham was the best to work for, and it's actively taking action to deal with climate change, not just producing strategies or doing nothing. Something else that came across at that Climate Summit was the way we are working collaboratively with so many other organisations across this borough. Working together, we'll achieve this. It's a challenge, it's a major challenge, but we can achieve it if we all work together.
Councillor Trahey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm proud to second this important motion that celebrates not just a ranking, but a relentless commitment to a cleaner, fairer and more sustainable future for our borough and indeed for our planet. Hammersmith and Fulham has been recognised as second best in the country by Climate Emergency Scorecard UK, just 1 point behind first place. But this isn't just a feather in our cap, it's proof that local leadership rooted in real action is working. We've improved our score, as we've heard, in every single category on the scorecard. It's a rare achievement and one that reflects not just a gesture, but a rigorous borough-wide movement. I'd like to take a moment to thank those who've helped make this possible. This is now going to sound a bit like an Oscar speech. The Climate and Ecological Emergency Commission, whose volunteer members brought rigour, insight and challenge. Our dedicated council officers, whose professionalism and innovation continue to deliver these results. The climate champions, local residents stepping up to lead, to organise and to inspire. And of course, the people of Hammersmith and Fulham, whose everyday choices, voices and actions are making a difference. What we're doing in H&F, from clean air neighbourhoods to green retrofitting, is proving that climate action is not an abstract ideal. Reducing air pollution, cutting noise, making homes warmer and more energy efficient is a practical investment in people, public health and local prosperity, making our borough safer, greener and more pleasant to live in for everyone. Climate initiatives are rarely just about emissions. They are about equity. It's the most vulnerable, children, the elderly, those living with existing health conditions who suffer the most if we do not act. The intersection between environmental sustainability, public health and social justice is clear, and we're showing what it means to act on that understanding. I just want to look very quickly at the Air Quality Action Plan that we looked at the Climate Change and Ecology Policy and Accountability Committee last week. That includes 40 targeted actions, policies and projects. It's striking to hear from our partners at Imperial College Healthcare and Professor Frank Kelly from Imperial College London outline the damaging health consequences of air pollution so starkly. Professor Kelly reported early findings from the Well Home Project. One of the worst polluting actions in our homes is cooking with gas. Who knew that? Most people think of air pollution as being an outdoor issue, but indoor pollutions like nitrogen dioxide from gas stoves, like I've learned all this, can have serious health impacts, especially for children, the elderly, and those with previous conditions. The message is to swap, and we are looking at doing that in the council. We are looking for all new homes to be electric appliances and to retrofit where we can, if possible. Going forward, net zero targets are also proving to be drivers of innovation and growth. H&F are leading the way in scientific research and innovation in sustainability and green tech in our very own White City Innovation District. Thanks to the council's upstream London partnership with Imperial College London, startups and scale-ups are pioneering ways to tackle global climate change, the challenge. Pure Affinity are developing technologies to remove forever chemicals from water. Meatly are making pet food with cultivated meat without using animals. Planera are working to eliminate plastic from sanitary products and looking to say goodbye to landfills, incinerators and overflowing bins. RSC Power is developing the world's lowest cost, long duration energy storage. All this and much more is happening in Hammersmith and Fulham, thanks to the culture of innovation that this administration has fostered. And best of all, our children are being offered pathways into the very best of careers and life opportunities on their doorsteps. But we're not declaring victory, we're acknowledging progress. and reaffirming our responsibility to go even further. I urge all members of this chamber to stay committed to our climate targets.
Thank you very much. Okay, I've been informed that Councillors Lang, Alfonso and Downer Sanderson would also wish to speak. Yep. Okay. Councillor Lang.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Firstly, can I also congratulate all involved in gaining this prestigious place and recognition on the Climate Emergency UK's Action Scorecard 2025. Of course, we all know that there is much more to do, yet so often it is easy and understandable for individuals, groups to feel overwhelmed and powerless by the sheer extent of the climate emergency. But in Hammersmith and Fulham, we can demonstrate what small but significant steps as community groups, individuals, residents, companies, and as a council we can make and show tangible impact. As today we enter into our third heat wave this summer, and just to give you one other example, this week the Angling Trust published data to show that river temperatures are the hottest since they've been keeping records, concentrating further water pollution and leading to more fish deaths. So no joy then for my summer fishing trip. But of course, this is deadly serious. In the US, we are still learning of the tragic flooding events in Texas. Over 100 dead caused by extreme weather, moisture in the air over the Texas Hill Country, home of the LBJ Ranch, worth a visit, and where Lady Bird Johnson did so much pioneering work as an environmental advocate. The sea surface in the Gulf of Mexico is hotter than normal. Mayor, a colleague of mine working in Washington, DC, told me last week that where she lives in Maryland, they have been baking in record high temperatures, and that the Democratic governor has provided extra grants for much needed air conditioning for homes and funding for families struggling with their consequent energy bills. In essence, the opposite to our winter fuel challenges here. My colleague said then, how can there be anyone out there who does not recognise that there is a climate emergency? And asked, in fact, what we were doing in the UK and indeed in Hammersmith and Fulham. So is there anyone out there in this borough, in this chamber, who does not recognise the climate emergency? Because Hammersmith and Fulham Labour Council does. And you've heard from fellow councillors. But can I just draw your attention to a couple of things? 312 social homes in Hammersmith and Fulham are now heated by clean air source heat pumps. We've got the Hammersmith and
Councillor
Fulham.
Lang, the guillotine has now fallen. All the motions published and the amendments circulated at the beginning of the meeting are hereby moved and seconded.
Madam Mayor, I don't have the clause to hand, but we would like to extend the guillotine by 5 minutes to allow Councillor Downer Sanderson to make his maiden speech, should he wish to.
Certainly. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yep.
So,
4 minutes seconded.
So we're going to make it 10 minutes.
Yeah. Can we make it 10 minutes?
Because Councillor Harcourt will have to sum up.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Is that okay? Lovely. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Councillor Lang, carry on.
Oh, blimey, I think I've lost my place. Where was I? I was talking about the 312 social homes in Hammersmith and Fulham now heated by clean air source heat pumps. The Hammersmith and Fulham Green Investment Scheme, solar investment for the Jack Tizard School in White City. More than 270 solar panels on the roof helped the school save £3,000 on energy bills. And the growth of tiny forests in Hammersmith and Fulham parks, one of the latest in my local park in Wormholt. Mayor, at the recent Hammersmith and Fulham Climate Action Together Summit in the heat, at the Lyric Theatre, it was inspiring to see, meet and hear from all the groups doing their bit. The question and answer session with a very interesting and diverse panel was excellent. And at the end, someone, as we've heard earlier, from out of borough got up to thank the council officers and all involved as she compared the positive and can-do attitude of Hammersmith and Fulham, contrasting with others that she works with. But the best and most probing questions, you won't be surprised to learn, came from young people present in the audience. A bit like our youth council earlier. It's their future, which we will, as a Labour council in Hammersmith and Fulham, continue to work with all to secure. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Alfonso?
No.
You're going to, okay.
Councillor
Can we move now on to Councillor Downer Sanderson, who wishes to speak? Please note this will be Councillor Downer Sanderson's maiden speech.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much, and thank you for giving me this extra 5 minutes. Also, thank you for the warm welcome from Councillor Smith and from Councillor Quigley, and also the others that I've come across during the campaign, but also over the years before that as well. You've always shown me decency and respect, and that is appreciated. I would like to say a massive thank you to the voters of Fulham Town who have put their faith in me as their councillor, alongside Victoria Brocklebank-Fowler, who has been a councillor here in Hammersmith and Fulham for 15 years. Her experience and knowledge of our local community is invaluable, and I'm lucky to be working alongside her. I'd also like to thank my predecessor, Councillor Andrew Dinsmore, for his dedication to this community, especially his work on crime, including the machete ban petition that gained national attention. I wish him well in the next chapter. I also owe a huge thanks to Councillor Jose Afonso, now leader of the opposition, who encouraged me to stand for local council about 5 years ago. It was something I knew little about at the time, but I've since grown to care deeply about. He took me for a drink at the Fulham Broadway Wetherspoons and convinced me to do it in 2022. And I'll have to return the favour by taking him for a pint at the brand new Wetherspoons in Fulham Broadway, which looks fantastic. I think it's a great restoration of the old Walham Green station. I believe our deputy leader has actually already paid a visit. I grew up here in Fulham off the Wandsworth Bridge Road, and I've been proud to call this place home for my entire life. My parents moved to the United States in the 1990s. They both fell in love with Fulham and still live in the area to this day. That's a story that I worry is becoming increasingly rare as the UK is seeing less and a growth hotspot and somewhere to make some working constructively with my colleagues, holding the council to account where necessary, but also supporting them when they get things correct. On a ward level, I look forward to working with the local police to make Fulham Town safer, ensuring the council is a responsible landlord and supporting residents in need, fighting to keep costs low and fair for residents, standing up for our high street small businesses, and keeping a watchful eye on our green spaces to ensure they're kept clean, tidy, and protected for the community, especially Parsons Green, which is one of the great assets of our area in South Fulham. And on that note, I particularly enjoyed attending the Parsons Green Fair over the weekend, which was brilliantly organised, as it is every year. The best part is that it's in aid of Fulham Good Neighbours, one of our great local charities who support individuals on low incomes. So once again, thank you very much to the voters for putting their trust in me and the Conservatives. I'm honoured to represent Fulham Town, and I'm excited to get to work.
I now call on Councillor Harcourt to sum up.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be relatively brief. I think I could talk about this subject all evening, but I'm sure you don't want me to do so. So I think the number of points that have come out of this, the key one that's come out has been the can-do attitude of this council and the way we're working collaboratively with a number of other agencies, Imperial College, Imperial Healthcare, to mention just two, how the green investment has worked and how we're linking, it all links in to the what's it called, strategy, etc. So I think, what was I going to say? There's another couple of things. Yep. It is, whatever anybody says, achieving our target of net carbon zero by 2030 is challenging, and there's no two ways about that. But I think what we're doing and the work we're doing, we can get there. And it's important that by working together, we'll achieve that. Thank you.
Is the motion agreed?
Agreed.
Right. I declare the motion carried. Okay. Please note that item 5 has been withdrawn. Okay. So, right. So, this is the end of tonight's meeting. I would like to thank everyone for attending or watching. Good night to you all. Safe journey.